Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best ambient-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on my YouTube channel, brought to you in part by our friends at Mint Mobile. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around to talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, TV and streaming, and all sorts of good stuff. Joining us today on this big sausage fest, sitting over here is Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Sitting over there is Ray Ora, who apparently wants death by sausage. I wasn't really sure what that meant before the show. Wow. Back there we got Taylor Gonzalez. Running the show is Jonathan Boyko. And joining us, the founder, creator, and host of The Big Thing, Christian Harloff is here. Also Modoc. Harloff Modoc is here. And most importantly, you guys are here. We're so glad you decided to make this show part of your day. Here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to talk about some predetermined topics first and let you know we're going to be talking about the Alec Baldwin situation. Their charges have changed. We're going to be talking more about the drama going on between Yellowstone and Kevin Costner. Is Disney forcing Pixar to make Toy Story 5? Who are the 5 people I would pick to play The Flash next? We're also going to talk about Anthony Mackie saying Captain America shouldn't be the leader of the Avengers next. And also, James Gunn puts out some tweets that make it maybe sound that Henry Cavill was never going to come back as Superman. Anyway, that and a whole bunch more. And we're glad you're joining us here today. So with all that down, let's dive right into it, shall we? And we're going to start off here with that whole situation with Alec Baldwin and, of course, the Rust shooting. This is something that's been in the news for a while. It's going to continue to be in the news. Of course, a tragic on-set situation. We've seen tragedies happen on set far too often, but where somehow, some way, a gun on the set of a movie ended up with a live round in it, and a couple people got injured. Somebody got shot and died. Horrible situation. Now, a little while ago, we talked about the fact that actual charges were brought against Alec Baldwin. And there were 2 charges in particular. One was involuntary manslaughter. That was one that carries a maximum sentence, I think, of 18 months. Now, the big one, though, was a relatively new law that they had in New Mexico, which carried a potential penalty of 5 years in prison. Now, the problem, of course, when we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, was, as Alec Baldwin's lawyers pointed out, yeah, first of all, that law shouldn't stick anyway, but that law you're charging him with didn't even exist when the accidental shooting happened. You cannot charge, in the American legal system, you cannot charge somebody with a law that did not exist when that happened. In other words, the prosecution are morons. I mean, I have my legal experience was limited compared to these people, but even I could tell you, and I never practiced any law in America, even I could tell you, the prosecutor is a complete dimwit. You cannot charge somebody with a crime under a law that did not exist when that law was supposedly broken. At any rate, update to this story now. The prosecutors have had to drop the charges. Those charges are now dropped. It says, and we'll go over to my thing here, it says, when the charges were filed on January 31st, prosecutors sought to apply the statute that imposes harsher penalties for gun crimes under New Mexico law. If a gun is discharged in the course of a felony, defendants can face an extra 5 years in jail. But that law did not go into effect until May of 2022, 7 months after Hutchins, that's the cinematographer that lost her life, was killed. The gun enhancement that was in effect on October of 2021 required that the defendant show intent to intimidate or injure a person, which did not apply to the accidental shooting of Hutchins. So under the actual law that did exist, we went over this the other week, but you only can charge Alec Baldwin with that if you can prove that Alec Baldwin was intentionally trying to intimidate or harm the cinematographer, which nobody believes, right?
No.
So that's done. So that's not removed. Now, we also talked about how the president of the West Coast Trial Lawyers Association and a former federal prosecutor was pointing out that even the involuntary manslaughter charge is going to be very, very difficult to find him guilty on because there is actually no legal onus on Alec Baldwin, and that's it. So it's going to be interesting. Now, what else is interesting about this story with them dropping these charges, the president of that lawyer association suggested that the prosecutor was celebrity hunting Alec Baldwin by giving deals to people who were responsible for giving Alec Baldwin a loaded gun and all that kind of stuff, but trying to charge Alec Baldwin. Well, it turns out that legally this prosecutor shouldn't even be trying the case. This is the thing. Where is it? Oh, yeah. Baldwin is also seeking to disqualify Andrea Reeb, that's the prosecutor. The special prosecutor on the case because she is also a Republican member of the state of the House of Representatives. Baldwin's lawyers argue that she cannot serve as both prosecutor and a legislator at the same time under the separation of powers provision set out by the state constitution. Now, what this really does is it goes back to that thing that the president of the Law Association said, that it looks like this person is just celebrity hunting. She's also a politician.
Right.
She's a member of the state Senate who is also trying to prosecute this. This is clearly a situation of a politician who's trying to use their platform to go celebrity hunting. And listen, don't get me wrong. We know probably 1% of the actual information. We who are not involved in the case, we all probably have 1% of the information. And if this trial happens, which I'm starting to doubt it'll even go to trial, but if it does, and information and facts present themselves that Alec Baldwin was indeed actually, you know what, on the Tuesday before the shoot, Alec Baldwin brought a box of live rounds and left them laying around with the fake round. Listen, if information comes out that Alec Baldwin is actually responsible for the death of Hutchins, then there needs to be accountability. There has to be. And if we find all that out, we find out that all. I'm just saying right now, with 1% of the information we have, this is looking like a clown show. This whole trial thing is looking like a clown show to me. But at any rate, Rob, you read this new article. The charge that any first semester law student should have known that you could not charge Alec Baldwin with. They've had to drop those charges now. I don't know. What did you make of this story?
Well, I mean, I hope that what's happened here, the tragedy, Miss Hutchins lost her life. You know, she had children, she had a husband. It should never have happened, and it is incredibly unfortunate. And we should never lose sight of what happened and how, if anything, you have to be ever vigilant on a movie set because many things can go wrong. You know, light stands can fall over and hurt people. That's why it's imperative that safety first on any movie set, whether there's guns on those sets or not, you have to have safety protocols in place. And the thing that I don't like about this whole, like what you're pointing out, is they're turning this into some kind of a show trial.
Yeah.
When really what you're looking for is justice. There was clearly negligence here. There was clearly real, why there was live ammunition on a film set.
How the actual F did a live bullet get onto the set of a movie?
I mean,
that's the big question.
Anybody should be able to, anyone with any familiarity with firearms should be able to pick up a blank and pick up a real bullet and know the difference. I mean, instantaneously. And if you can't, you have no business handling firearms. And reading this and finding out, wow, a legislature is also the prosecutor. I mean, when you see something like this, it's like, look, man, recuse yourself. You should know better. But they didn't. And now they've gotten enough press and all that, and it turns into something. Now the onus or whatever is being moved away from what actually happened and the changes that need to be made and the real reason that this occurred. And it becomes something else, like so much in our country. And it's like what we really need to keep focused on is what happened here, the tragedy that happened, what was responsible, and let's make sure it never happens again.
Christian, yeah, you haven't been in here, I don't think, when we've had to address the story. And it's, I mean, this is something that in and of itself, they're probably going to make a movie about someday. But anyway, you know about the case itself. You saw the article that was there and what's saying. What's your impressions of all this?
I mean, I kind of reiterate the same thing you guys are saying, that there needs to be an investigation as what really happened.
Yeah.
And if there was negligence and all that, they have to look for the, as you said, Rob, for the justice of this poor woman and her family and everything like that. That needs to happen because it shouldn't have happened. So there, like, that alone is absolutely should be the priority of what this is all about. And if Alec Baldwin, if they do the investigation, as you said, John, that he is responsible for involuntary manslaughter, then he should pay a penalty. There's no doubt about it. But he should be investigated fairly. That's the whole point of trials and everything, is supposed to be fairly. And it doesn't seem, at least from this one, and what we're not also bringing up is that, remember that Alec Baldwin is a pretty outright left-wing politician himself in his own right. You know, and he was doing an impression of the president for many, many years on Saturday Night Live, which probably didn't sit well with a lot of Republicans. So Is it the only reason why that they're going after him? Of course not. They're probably, this.
No, I don't believe that.
Of course not. But it is also that it could be said that this woman also wants to get the justice, and I think that that's something we should also say. She probably does, but I think that there is a conflict of interest when you're both politician. And so I think I'm not saying you should absolutely. I don't think that you should. That because I think you cry a foul if you put some Democrat or left wing. That's trying the case, or excuse me, investigating the case instead of this woman. I think you should get a Republican, but maybe I don't know.
It just shouldn't be a
It shouldn't be part.
Yeah, she shouldn't be part.
Yeah.
I was watching one legal analyst show podcast, and they were talking about this situation, and they gave this analogy. They said, imagine you're on a work floor, and they say, look, it's very important for safety. Take your garbage and throw them in that receptacle there. You have to make sure you throw your garbage in that receptacle to keep everything safe. So relying on the safety expert who told you to do that, you take that and you drop your banana peel in the receptacle. Unknown to you, the bottom of that receptacle has a crack in it. The banana peel falls out. Somebody walks by, slips, breaks their arm or something like that. Are you responsible for that person breaking their arm? You're the one who put the banana in the receptacle. Well, because you were told that's where it needed to be. And that's the one thing, again, only knowing 1% of the information, and I completely reserve the right to change my perspective on this as more information comes in.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying right now, when you have somebody on set who it is their responsibility,
Their only responsibility,
because you are not a firearms expert, to be that firearms expert, to clear the weapons, who then declared the gun a cold gun, which means it's a completely safe weapon. It's a cold gun. They handed it off to the assistant director. The assistant director took it to Alec Baldwin and declared this is a cold gun, telling Alec Baldwin this is a completely safe weapon. There is no danger. And then obviously there's a bullet in the gun. Alec Baldwin is not a weapons expert. I grew up with guns. I would personally know what to look for, but I'm going to venture probably 80% of the people in this room wouldn't know what to look for.
No, and on the flip side, though, as well, too, I mean, I agree with you, but I'm saying on the flip side, too, we've seen Alec Baldwin in the past, even on the street with paparazzi, lose his temper a little bit and lose his cool. That maybe he's like, I need the gun now. I need a gun. I don't care what it is. And maybe they didn't test it or anything.
According to the testimony, everything happened the way it was supposed to happen, right? The armorer declared it was cold gun, gave it to the assistant director. The assistant director took it over to Baldwin, declared it was a cold gun. All that is verified. That all happened. So, again, now the one thing that comes up every once in a while in this case that I still have to figure out what I think about it is that at the end of the day, Alec Baldwin is also one of the producers of this movie.
Right. Yes.
That means it is your house. And if Ray decides to go cycle one day and, and I don't know, beats Jonathan over the head with a whiteboard or something like that. Oh, yeah. Well, even though I'm not the one who did it and it wasn't my fault,
Saturday,
I am in charge of what happens in here. So there's some response again, but how far that goes, how does it fit within the New Mexico legal system? I don't know. It's just gonna be really interesting to keep our eyes on. Yeah, Ray.
That could be one of the worst examples I've ever heard in my life.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? Some idiot decided to, with obviously no understanding of the law, decided to bring a charge that was a law that wasn't even in existence when the incident happened. Anyway, what do you think this is going to turn into? Do you think there's a lot more information to come? I think there probably is, and we're all going to have to re-examine this later once we get more information. But whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to another off the top here, shall we? And that one is this. This is getting very dramatic and interesting. And by interesting, I mean borderline scandalous. We talked the other day that a report came out that it looked like they were going to end. By the way, this isn't confirmed, but a story came out that they are currently looking at ending Yellowstone at the end of season 5. They're, of course, on a very long mid-season break. And that a part of the reason for that was Kevin Costner's schedule or whatever, and that they were going to have a spin-off show that's like a continuation of Yellowstone, will have many of the same characters, but this new one was going to be led by Matthew McConaughey, which is perfectly fine. Matthew McConaughey is an Academy Award-winning actor. I love Matthew McConaughey, but I love me Yellowstone, and I love Kevin Costner in Yellowstone. Well, turn up the drama on this. And you know me, I don't normally like to get into the behind the scenes TMZ, what's the tea kind of stuff, unless it starts directly affecting the content we're watching. And this is. So in the Puck newsletter that came out, which is becoming a real big deal in the industry right now.
Puck and the Ankler.
Yeah, and the Ankler both becoming a big deal about this. They discussed this. Let me see if I can find the quote on this. Oh yeah, here it is. Okay. So here's a sign. This is getting into like some of the drama that's going on with this. Here's a sign that the relationship between Kevin Costner and Taylor Sheridan is not going well. On Instagram just a couple of months ago, Costner's longtime assistant / associate, I'm going to try to get this name right, Glenn Kleskowski, posted publicly the following review of Taylor Sheridan's Sylvester Stallone mobster show, Tulsa King. This is what Kevin Costner's assistant wrote publicly to Taylor Sheridan. Stick to your Westerns, bro. You don't know shit about this life. Stay in your lane, country boy. I'm actually embarrassed for you as a writer and creator. This is Kevin Costner's assistant. Now, I'll tell you what, if Christian's assistant, of course, and he has many, but if Christian's assistant were to write that publicly about me, Christian and I are going to have a problem. I mean, if Ray started writing shit like that about anybody else, they would have a problem with me. Again, we're going to make Ray our scapegoat on this. So let me read this again. This is crazy. Stick to Westerns, bro. You don't know shit about this life. Stay in your lane, country boy. So he's directly insulting him, too. Stay in your lane, country boy. I'm actually embarrassed for you as a writer. Twilight boy. Country boy.
Country boy.
As a writer and creator. Now, I'm going to read this a little bit at length just because this is fascinating. This is where the drama is coming in. So they went on to write this. So what's actually happening here? After looking into this for the past couple of weeks, I learned that Costner's Yellowstone cast and crew executives have becoming increasingly frustrated by Costner's ego and unavailability for years now. I know, get in line. Aging movie star doing television has inflated sense of self-worth like an Onion headline. And besides, this is a larger trend. As more and more bigger names work on TV series, they don't often want to make series commitments, forcing the shows to contort to their schedules to shoot their stars in and out. It's an industry-wide problem. So as more and more of these big stars are going to television, the TV shows are having to make bigger and bigger compromises, which I think sometimes, many times, the compromises are worth it. Listen to this. But this is bigger. There's a reason Costner is known in town as either exacting to a fault or just an unjustified pain in the ass. Going all the way back to his heyday in the 1990s, leveraging his star power and cachet of the Oscars that he won for Dances with Wolves, Costner famously tortured filmmakers like Sam Raimi on 1999's For the Love of the Game. Kevin's not the director, and it's not fair that he should be able to hijack a $50 million asset, Universal's film chief Stacey Snider said publicly at the time. And a fight over the MPAA edits. Kevin Reynolds either bailed or got fired from directing both Costner films, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and Waterworld, depending on who you believe, as a director. Costner refused to trim The Postman from the 3-hour runtime it had, despite a pair of awful test screenings, and it ended up losing tens of millions of dollars for the studios.
Postman rules.
And in Message in a Bottle, Costner threatened to pull out of publicity until he got his way on the edit, big time stuff. Now, this is where it gets into Yellowstone. Costner tried giving notes to Taylor Sheridan during the first couple of seasons of Yellowstone, which I'm told did not go over well. And once the show became a smash hit, Costner is said to have begun squeezing. He demanded to be compensated for promotional days, says two different sources, despite a contract that paid him $1.2 million per episode. For the 16 episodes of its fifth season, that pay was rising to $1.5 million per episode, and more if there was going to be a season 6, plus an overall deal with MTV Entertainment Studios that runs through 2025. A couple of seasons ago, Costner's WME team closed a major negotiation. Then he went back to his lead agent of 10 years, Brad Slater, who had put Costner in Yellowstone in the first place and demanded that he reopen the deal for more asks. And when his agent said no, he got rid of his agent. So, look, this is all from a certain perspective, right? Whenever you look at any story from just one perspective, anything can look damning. And you guys know for a couple of years now, Yellowstone has been my favorite show. Until The Last of Us came out, Yellowstone has been my favorite show on TV for the last couple of years, all due respect to Succession, which I also love. And Kevin Costner is the freaking man in this show. I love him in this show. And I love him in Man of Steel, and I love Kevin Costner. But when you're reading this stuff, and he's like, yeah, I'm only going to shoot for the second half of the season. I'm only going to make myself available for 5 days, which is what was in the initial report. It's like, dude, like, you're part of the #1 show in the world right now.
And how much are you making per episode?
You're making a lot of effing money, and you're working with the hottest showmaker and showrunner in the business right now. I mean, I don't know. Of course, Kevin Costner is an individual. He has, this story goes on to talk about that he's got some movies he's trying to make with Warner Brothers at the same time. And, you know, he's in his heart, he's got the passion of a director. He wants to be a director. I respect all of that. But I don't know, guys, I'm reading this, and I always like to believe that grown men can work out their issues and figure something out when everybody stands to make a lot of money. But I don't know if they're going to be able to fix this. I don't know, Christian, you know, you read about this. What's your thoughts on it?
Well, first thing is the idea that and even though television has changed dramatically with the amount of kind of movie star that does television, if you look at history, whether it's Friends, The Sopranos, there's always these negotiation things and things of people getting tired of actors, whether you're a movie star or not, getting tired of playing the same role and being locked into the television schedule is grueling. It's grueling.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, when you look at 1.5 an episode, you go, who cares? Deal with it. It'll be over by the 6th season. You can do whatever you want. But it's grueling. So you can see why frustrations happen with actors. Now, that doesn't excuse any of this particular behavior if it's indeed factual. But the other thing that I do think is, we've heard this about Kevin Costner in the past.
For
clearly.
years. Yeah.
So be careful who you hire. is also one of those things too. Like what were the meetings like to get him in? And the other thing is, as far as the assistant goes, what they don't tell you there is that Taylor Sheridan bought him right after that, because that's he's able to do whatever. He bought his Instagram feed, he bought his family house, and now that guy works for Taylor Sheridan. But it's just, you look at that, and I don't know, the Matthew McConaughey thing though is very interesting, because if you would have rewound time before Yellowstone comes out, and they announce that they're doing this show Yellowstone, and they go, well, they're either going to do a show with Matthew McConaughey or Kevin Costner, everyone would be like, oh, I want to see the one with Matthew McConaughey at the time, in 2017, whatever it is. Now you're like, well, it's Kevin Costner. He makes Yellowstone. I think that they need to figure this out, because I'm obsessed, by the way, after I told you guys, like 1923 I started with, but I got obsessed with 1883 after talking to you guys.
Right.
I watched it, and now I want to go back in. I watched like the first 2 episodes of Yellowstone, liked it, but I want to revisit it. But now it's like he's the guy. So they got to figure it out some way or another. But yeah, it's unfortunate if he's using his star power to kind of leverage stuff and bad behavior. That's always a bummer.
It sucks to hear you're leveraging star power. 'Cause let's say his current star power comes from Yellowstone, right?
Yeah.
When you're leveraging your star power that comes from a show against that very show. I mean, I don't know, but Rob, you're here about this. What do you think? And by the way, I say this all as a big Kevin Costner fan. I love Kevin Costner.
I do too, but you know, I mean, here's the thing. Kevin Costner makes Dances with Wolves. Then he makes a movie like Open Range. And even The Postman, to a certain extent, is
I really liked Open Range.
I did too. It's great. And I love The Postman. It's based on a David Brin science fiction novel. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I'll tell you something. First time I saw The Postman was at the Steve Ross Theater at Warner Brothers. No one had seen it. I was sitting there with a huge audience. Kevin Costner walked out on stage in front of an audience, and he said, you know what? I've been working on this movie for a long time, and I hope, he said, I wish that I was like you in the audience and seeing this movie for the first time. And I hope you enjoy it. And the pride and the joy that was there. And I never forgot this, because it exemplified to me what every filmmaker feels like when they show their movie to an audience for the first time, especially an industry crowd of people. And there was true joie de vivre. And I loved it. No one else did. So, I mean, so I've always been very sympathetic to Kevin Costner. That said, diva behavior with actors, especially when they're getting paid this amount of money. You get paid this amount of money because you're expected to show up at work. And I believe that when you're working on a set with a lot of people, including your fellow actors and the crew. The crew is there to support your work. You're the ones that are in front of the camera. You're the ones that the crew is making sure you look the best you can. You have the best costumes. You're lit well. The writers are making sure they have the best lines they can give you. The producers hopefully hope they're making the best TV show. Everyone is there to serve you. I can't stand diva behavior on a set because it's so disrespectful to everyone. And if Kevin Costner didn't want to do this, I'm sure he might have thought a little bit, Westerns are in my wheelhouse, that he could come in and make the show a little bit more his. I'm sure he resents the fact that Taylor Sheridan now basically has built a network on Kevin Costner's wheelhouse. He still took the job. And if you take the job, you got to bring an attitude in that is conducive to the rest of your coworkers.
And if you don't want to do the job anymore,
don't do it.
Just say, I respectfully, I need to step away. I'm
or
done.
write me out and kill me. Or
Yeah,
something.
and I just hear this kind of thing. It is so difficult to make these projects. And I've been lucky, and for the most part, I've been able to work with some really great people. Even William Shatner, when I worked with him, was terrific. No diva behavior at all. And this just bothers me because I really like Kevin Costner.
But the one thing, though, we don't know for sure, as we said, as we see this article, though, too, remember that they're in the middle of these negotiations and trying to figure out seasons and figure out all this different, there it goes, all this different.
You're nuts.
Yeah, the nuts. But all this different information that this could also be a negotiation tactic. This could also be something that they leak to the press, and the press.
Oh yeah, this is one perspective.
This is one perspective.
Just one
perspective. Because we could also get reports, Rob, that the other side of Costner's story and look at all the behavior, that stuff that he had to go through. I'm not saying we are.
Absolutely.
That's why I don't want to just call it diva behavior right away when we don't really know yet if it's true.
We
or
hope
false.
it's not.
And as much as I love reading the Puck and the Ankler, Puck and the Ankler, it is coming at this industry from a certain perspective.
Sure. Yep.
And that perspective is very apparent when you read these newsletters.
But normally the pure information they give does end up being pretty
like
accurate.
the amount of money.
Anyway, guys, the question is for you. What do you think about, are you even somebody who watches Yellowstone? If not, you really should. It's quite good. And Kevin Costner's pretty damn awesome in it. What do you think about the story? Whatever you think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's now move over to our Mint Mobile hotline question of the day. If you guys need a mobile service provider because you are spending too much on the ones that you have, switch on over to Mint Mobile and spend just $15 a month for incredible mobile service just like I have. If you guys have a question for the show, go ahead and call the hotline number at 951-268-4259. Ryan Reynolds will personally take memos down of your notes and questions and forward them on to us. Hashtag, he's not really going to do that. But let's see what you guys are calling here today. And somebody's asking about if Pixar even wants to make Toy Story 5. Check it out.
Hey, John. My name's Peter Cunnington. My question is, I'm hearing rumors that Pixar didn't really want to make the movie Toy Story 5. It was more of a Disney executive idea, probably Bob and stuff. I'm wondering if that will affect the quality. It's not really passionate to them. They're kind of done with it. Just want to know your thoughts. All right. Thank you.
All right, Peter, thanks a lot for sending that in. And yeah, listen, I've also read a couple of rumblings that, I heard that Pixar didn't even want to make Toy Story 5. Now, should be clear, I never heard any of those rumblings from any of my personal sources, nor did it come from any of the legitimate outlets. It came from one or two of the Gus's gas station movie reviews.fart sites, which are not always wrong, but that's all it came from. Now, what I have heard specifically was that is bull. That is bull. The one verified piece of information I saw was that somebody fairly reputable talked to one or two animators, and there are many of them, who don't really feel like they need to go back to Toy Story 5. But that in and of itself is a far cry from Pixar didn't want to do Toy Story 5. And from everything that I understood, that's just not true. Now, could Bob Iger have floated this? Because remember, one of the big things about Bob Iger that makes him a better entertainment executive than, say, Bob Chapek was that he is very creator-centric. He gives a lot of leeway to his creators. He loves listening to his creators. He loves to give authority to creators. Do I think Bob Iger could have sat down with his heads of Pixar and said, hey, listen, you got $3 billion franchises here in Zootopia, in Frozen, and in Toy Story. Maybe you should look at that. But if you're Pixar as well, who you've just gone through the worst couple of years of your company's existence, Number one, you've had a bunch of your films that you poured blood, sweat, and tears on for the big screen that then got unceremoniously dumped on Disney Plus. Then you put out a couple of films that just were disastrous, one more disastrous than the other. Strange World was a complete disaster, and Lightyear, nobody knew what the hell that movie was supposed to be, and it did not do well. First, I still contend the first 20 minutes of that movie are great. I love the first 20 minutes of Lightyear, but then it kind of went downhill from there. But listen, if you're a Pixar executive, you want to have a nice mix. You want to have these guaranteed billion-dollar franchise, Toy Story, Frozen, Zootopia, so you can continue to make the more experimental films, like we have Elemental coming out, which, by the way, Elemental looks great. And now you hope that Elemental is such a hit that there is an audience demand for more of Elemental. And for anybody who says, well, they shouldn't be making a Toy Story 5, guess what? When they put out Toy Story 5, it ain't gonna be Buzz Lightyear box office numbers. You are going to see the audience very much hungers for more Toy Story, and they will go. And if they can continue to make it on the same level of excellence, great. So I think if you're Pixar, you want a mix of that. You want your big guaranteed hits so you can have time to make your smaller, more experimental ones that hopefully themselves become the big guaranteed hits that would afford you, and you create this cycle. Anyway, Rob, have you heard anything yourself about Pixar didn't actually want to do Toy Story 5 and Disney was forcing them to do it?
No, just things that I've read online. First of all, I don't believe that. Because one, here's the thing. There's always somebody that wants to make, if you work at a company and you have an IP, there's always somebody at that company in their minds thinking, I've got an idea for this IP. Because that's just how creative people are. The Toy Story franchise is one of the most beloved franchises in cinema history. Not just animation history,
that's fair to say.
But in cinema history. And generations have grown up. You're looking at, Toy, what did it come out, 95?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it comes out in 95. You're looking at now a legacy that's going on,
Getting close to 30 years.
30 years. I mean, this is multi-generations of people growing up with these characters. And I don't think that there's anybody that doesn't like Toy Story. I mean, I think Toy Story will put a smile on the hearts of the most curmudgeonly person. And I can't imagine. Here's the thing. Pixar, I think, will only move forward if they think they've got a great idea. Knowing that Bob Iger wants to make Toy Story, knowing that Bob Iger is going to say this is going to be a theatrical film, we will put all of our marketing dollars behind it. We will be as enthusiastic as you want us to be about this movie. They know they have the support of the studio, 100%. That's a great way to start a project. And for Pixar, I am sure, John, that they already had an idea for a Toy Story 5. They just didn't think they might ever make it. So then they can develop it. Nobody has a better story department than Pixar does. They do not move forward. Sure, they might not. Maybe Lightyear wasn't as successful as they wanted it to be, but look at their track record, man. It's pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
And I would say that Pixar would relish this opportunity. They are probably all over it. And maybe an animator or two is tired of Woody and Buzz, but I can't imagine that as a company, you can't find plenty of animators that are willing to work on this.
By the way, when was Toy Story 4? What year did that come out?
2019.
So that was 4 years ago. It's not like they've been working on Woody and Buzz for that was 4 years ago. You'd have to get over it. Christian, what do you think about this?
Well, Strange World was Disney, wasn't it? I don't think it was Pixar.
You're probably right. Yeah, you're probably right.
It doesn't change the fact that Disney's animation in general has been, from original stuff, has not, you can see why it was probably Iger. I happen to agree. I think that Iger probably was like, hey, listen, you guys think we can do another Toy Story? Is that something we need to build off for? Because he made it clear in that report that they're going to go after more Star Wars stuff, and Marvel said they're focusing more on IP. They're pulling back on original stuff on Disney Plus. They're focusing on IP stuff. So it does seem like an Iger move to go after Toy Story. But as you said, John, it also doesn't seem like an Iger move to go, I don't care if you want to do it, do it.
Yeah.
That's not what he does. That's not how he built his career. He goes, can you guys do it? I could very much see that, him being the one who brings it forefront and says, I think Toy Story might be good. Can you guys do it? And I also think that, I don't remember which one you guys said it, but like where it was probably someone, like an animator or something, going, really, we're going to do another one? And then and there's a big team. So maybe if everybody's been part of decisions where you've made a decision and maybe someone on your team doesn't think it's that great, and then they tell somebody else.
Every day.
Right. And then they tell someone else, And then does that mean that you didn't want to do it? No, it just meant, so the Pixar people might very well, okay, yeah, let's give it a shot. We can make it happen. I agree with you, Rob. I think that they know, even though I had a chance to talk to the directors when 4 came out, and they're like, yeah, I think this is the last one. We're gonna put it to rest. But it's always got, what could we do if there was going to be another one? What would it be? So it's there. I mean, I think that protects you in moments like this. Like, maybe we don't ever do it, but if it's there, it's in our back pocket. Now we got it, and Iger comes knocking, you go, well, here's our idea.
You know what's a really good piece of evidence that Iger didn't mandate this? What's another billion-dollar franchise they have? Incredibles. I think if Iger was going to be mandating this stuff, one of the things he would have mandated is people love the Incredibles, superheroes are hot.
Right.
Like, do another Incredibles. But he knows Pixar doesn't want to do it if Brad Bird isn't on board, and Brad Bird is not on board to do another Incredibles, at least not right now. So if Iger was going to mandate it, he just would have said, do it. And if Bird doesn't want to do it, F him, get in somebody else who will.
And John, he wouldn't be as successful as he is, and like one of the best executives, maybe creative executives of all time, because like he doesn't do stuff like that. Like he makes moves like what you said with like, remember Solo, which I think was one of his big blunders, where he did force them to do a release date in May as opposed to, December, which I think it would have benefited a lot more. That's a different kind of decision. That's a Disney decision to try to make the dollar. That's not forcing someone to make a movie.
Yeah. All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about that? Do you think Disney was forcing Pixar to do this, or is Pixar more than happy to see the studio actually get behind their movies again and put out another billion-dollar film? I don't know. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we're going to take a quick second here to thank a couple of sponsors of our show here today, the great folks at MasterClass and my mobile service provider, Mint Mobile. We want to thank a sponsor of this video, MasterClass. MasterClass offers classes on a wide variety of topics, all taught by world-class instructors at the very top of their fields. Each class is broken out into individual video lessons, usually around 10 minutes long. And MasterClass is completely accessible on your phone, the web, smart TV, and available via audio mode to listen to classes on the go. They have over 2,500 video lessons from over 180 of today's most brilliant minds. They're all available anytime, anywhere on iOS, Android, desktop, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, and Roku. Now, obviously around here on the John Campea Show, we love our movies, so why not learn filmmaking from Jodie Foster, or maybe directing from Ron Howard himself, or the great Neil Gaiman doing his masterclass on the art of storytelling. And you guys have heard me talk about my favorite masterclass, Business Strategy and Leadership by Big Papa Iger himself, Bob Iger, the new and returning CEO of Disney. So guys, I highly recommend that you check it out. Get unlimited access to every class, and as a John Campea Show listener, you get 15% off an annual membership. Just go to masterclass.com/Campea now. That's masterclass.com/Campea for 15% off Masterclass. We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. If saving more and spending less is one of your top goals for 2023, why are you still paying insane amounts of money every month for your phone bill? Switching to Mint Mobile is the easiest way to save this year. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order from home and save a ton with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. You guys know I made the switch over to Mint Mobile a while ago. The process couldn't have been easier, and I can't believe that I am spending less than a third of what I was spending on one of the other major carriers before. By going online only and eliminating the traditional costs of retail, Mint Mobile passes the significant savings on to you. All plans come with unlimited talk, text, and high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and switch easily in minutes with eSIM. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at MasterClass and, of course, Mint Mobile for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. Remember, guys, when you check out and support our sponsors, you're actually supporting us. So if you go down to the description of this video, right near the top, you'll find links and promo codes to all of our sponsors. And again, thank you to MasterClass and Mint Mobile. All right, guys, as we pick things up here, let's go back over to our Mint Mobile hotline time one more time. And people are asking about who should be the next Flash.
Hi, John. This is Hunter from San Antonio, Texas. And my favorite video from you guys is probably where you guys discussed who you'd want to play Superman in the new DCU. I was wondering who you'd like to play the Flash in this new universe. Would you want a new Barry Allen, or do you think they should start off with a Jay Garrick or Wally West? Thanks, and bring on the filthy.
All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, Hunter. And yeah, I mean, normally I don't like to do X actor next role, mostly because we have no idea who would be a good fit because we haven't read the scripts, right? Like you read one script for a movie.
Don't.
Send Rob your scripts. You read one script with the Joker in it, being, say, Michael Keaton's Batman, and that Joker is written very, very differently than Christopher Nolan's Joker is written, which is written very, very differently from what Jared Leto's Joker was written, which is written very differently from what Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is written. So, like, you can have an idea in your head, but unless you actually see the script, you don't really know. So I'm going to list off some people I could see being the next Flash after Ezra Miller, because I still don't believe for a second that Ezra Miller is still going to be Flash after the upcoming The Flash movie. They're not. And if they are, I'll never watch another thing with The Flash in it. But I'm very excited about this movie. As far as who do I think it's going to be, will it be Wally West, Jay Garrick, Barry Allen? I think it's going to be Barry Allen. I think that's right now is your traditional Flash. I think Barry Allen is going to be our Flash. With that said, here are my picks, and some of these are going to really surprise you. And I think a lot of these you're not even going to like.
Good
But
pitch.
I can actually, but regardless of that, I've never been about the popular opinion. I actually believe these actors could do really, really well playing the Flash. Now, I'm looking for a certain age. I'm looking for under 30. That's one of my big prime things here. At least right now, they're under 30. So here we go. My first pick, and maybe Christian will like this, I don't know, is Tanner Buchanan of Cobra Kai. He was also in
Robbie.
Designated Survivor. He played Kiefer Sutherland's son in that, which I really, really liked him in. He's got a really good look for it. If we got that picture of him there.
I got it here.
He's got a really, really good look for it. He's got a traditional superhero physique. And you know what? While I am not a fan, let me be clear, I am not a fan of Cobra Kai.
How dare you?
But my wife is kind of obsessed with it. And whenever I've seen him playing, now remember, this show is borderline telenovela, soap opera kind of thing. And you know what? He plays to it really well, the stuff that I've seen him do. And so I like the name Tanner Buchanan. I think he would be a pretty good idea, a pretty good pick for a Barry Allen. All right, let's go over to my second pick here. And by the way, these are in no particular order, okay? Just so you're clear. My second pick, this may surprise you, is KJ Apa from Shortland Streets and from Riverdale. Now, DC was already looking at him because in what was the dumbest fucking idea for a movie in history, they were going to do a Wonder Twins movie. Do you remember this? A while ago. They were going to do a Wonder Twins movie a while ago, and KJ was going to play one of the Wonder Twins. But make no mistake, again, he's in this ridiculous show, but he plays to that show perfectly. Again, much like Tanner, he's got the superhero build and physique. Not that that's important for Barry Allen, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. But if you're looking for just legit acting chops and somebody could fit in that, and somebody DC already had their eyes on once for something else, I could see KJ Apa actually not being a bad choice to play a new Barry Allen. All right, let's go into my third one here. Speaking of somebody who is already in the DC realm and in the DC world, and maybe I would prefer to see them play someone else, but Noah Centineo, who was just, of course, Adam Smasher in Black Adam. Now, how much are they going to, is Adam Smasher still going to be in the DCU moving forward? I don't know. If he is, clearly disqualified from being the new Flash. If not, well, listen, we already know Jason Momoa is going to be playing a new character. Hell, might even be playing Aquaman and a new character at the same time. We have no idea. But if they are going to continue to use Adam Smasher, which part of me kind of hopes they do, then obviously that's disqualified. But if not, I thought he was terrific in that. And I've watched a little bit of The Recruit now. And he's really good in The Recruit.
Yeah, he is.
He's really, really
It's a great
good in
show.
The Recruit. And so, do I think he would make a pretty good Barry? Yeah, I mean, again, all depending on the script. Maybe he'd be the worst fit in the world depending on the script. But that aside, I think Noah Centineo would be a pretty good pick for that. All right. Let's go on to my fourth pick. And again, these are in no particular order. Shameik Moore, who is now, most people will know him as the voice of Miles Morales, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, but he's also incredible in Dope, incredible in The Get Down. And again, I love his voice. He can play kind of nerdy, but he can also play harder at the same time.
He was great in Dope.
He's incredible.
I just realized Flash Thompson is sitting right next to him.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. You're right.
There.
Flash Thompson's right beside him. I didn't even put that together. And so, yeah, I'm telling you what, if they were to go with a little bit of a less traditional Barry, but again, I don't think the ethnicity of Barry has any bearing at all on the characteristics of who Barry is, so I'd be totally good with that. Now, I've said all these are in no particular order, except for this one, which would be my first pick. Now, all the rest of the guys I just mentioned, whether it's Noah, KJ, Tanner, whatever, they all got that superhero build. I don't really think that's important for Flash. Flash is a science nerd kid, got struck by lightning, whatever. Understanding that, and my main thing is I'm always looking for, do you get a talented actor? That's the number one thing. I'm going to go with this name. If we can go to my screen. There we go. Timothée Chalamet. Timothée Chalamet is simply one of the best actors in the world right now. He's got a good, he can come across as the nerdy science kid if you want. Well, he can come across as anything. By the way, his Apple TV Plus ads are the best ads on TV right now. I die laughing every time those things come on. Of course, he's got a lot going with Dune. He's an Academy, already at his age, he's an Academy Award.
And he's got great hair that can billow in the wind.
And he's got great locks of hair that can billow in the wind. Again, this is mostly based on the fact that he is a absolute world-class Academy level kind of actor. You bring something like that to DC. And listen, I don't know that there are many comic book characters that Timothée Chalamet could play, because for a lot of those characters, build and physique are one of those things. Timothée Chalamet is about a $105 soaking wet. I mean, that's
With
not, but
boots
for the
on.
Flash with boots on, golden boots on. But for somebody like the Flash, I think you can get away with that. I really do. And so my 5 picks, again, I was trying to think a little bit outside of the box here. Tanner Buchanan, KJ Apa, Noah Centineo, Shameik Moore, and Timothée Chalamet. Those are the picks I have. So Rob, let me go over to you first. What do you think about any of the particular picks I have? Do you have any names that I didn't mention?
I think they're good. There's an actor that I've always liked because I got to know him a little bit a couple of years back, and I really like him. He's been on TV as the new MacGyver, Lucas Till.
Oh, yeah. Didn't I bring him up as one of my picks for a possible new Superman?
I think you might have.
I think I did, yeah. I like him a lot.
I'm a big fan of Lucas Till. I think he can look like Barry Allen. He's got that, I think that those winsome ways, and any exchanges I've ever had with him, I've always really liked him, and I think he's got that Flash look.
I think he does. He's got the superhero physique. I liked him for Superman, but I would totally be good with him as a Flash.
He
too.
just, I mean, look at that grin to me says Barry Allen.
It looks like he's about to talk about forensics.
Yeah.
Yes. Christian, what about you? Got any particular of the list that I have that stand out to you, or any names that you have that I didn't have?
I do. I mean, not just from the obvious, I am a fan of Cobra Kai, but I like the Tanner pick because I as you know, I had a chance to do that Nokia panel, and I got a chance to know Tanner.
Yeah, you got to moderate
better.
that discussion.
I did, and I spoke to him quite a bit. Him more so than the rest, and he plays a very serious character on the show.
That was my concern. So you think he could pull it
Yeah,
off?
he's got a good sense of humor about him. He's very intense. There's no doubt about it, and he's very committed. But he has a good sense of humor. He's like one of the big practical jokers on set. So that's the thing that I think people are like, he's too serious. He's got that thing that could do it. So I think that's a really good pick. That was the one I have 2 picks, and one of the ones that I have is my concern with your Timothée Chalamet pick, which is that he's too recognizable at this point, and people will be like, oh, because he's kind of eccentric, and he's always doing this for some reason, and so I don't know if I can get past that. And the same other,
He didn't do that a lot in Bones and All. I
didn't see that one, but everything else he's always doing that dance. But I like him, but I feel like star power wise, I think Austin Butler is somebody who would be interesting. He's 31, I know, but and I think that your picks in the 30s as well,
all,
too.
all under 30s. Yeah, the ones are all under 30.
Well,
yeah.
yours are under 30. I think that because isn't Lucas Till a little
He's got to be
older?
close. I don't think he's a little old. I'm not really sure how old. he is,
Both
to be
mine are
honest.
in their early 30s. The one that I think the most is Dylan O'Brien.
That's the name that. See, I avoided that one because I saw a lot of other people online were going that one. I like Dylan Bryan, but I think he might be a
31.
little aged out. He's
31.
34.
I mean, 31. Yeah.
Oh, he's 31?
He's 31.
Actually, that's not as old as I thought.
Yeah, I mean, look, but
I
you're
like
not.
him.
But by the time they make the movie, he probably very well be 34. So it just depends on what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. But I think, to me, I think Dylan O'Brien's the best because he has that body. The other one that you brought up was Noah Centineo. I think he's too big. I think he's supposed to play He-Man.
Yeah, but he was also 115 pounds when they first announced him as He-Man, and then he started to bulk
I don't
up.
know, man. He's a
and
big
I don't
dude.
think he's
Like
that
6'1",
big,
isn't he?
and I don't think he's that
tall is he?
physically big.
I don't know. I thought he was like 6'1".
He looks
6'2".
bigger. His
I mean,
head
he's
looks
tall. He's a
small in this
tall kid,
picture.
yeah.
That's what I mean. I just think,
Yeah.
he's a little too big for my taste.
Lucas Till's 32.
Yeah.
I have two names that haven't been mentioned.
Nobody asked, Taylor.
Well,
Oh,
Puss
no,
in
what are
Boots
they?
and Shrek.
Ross Lynch, I would love to see him as the Flash. I just looked it up. He is only 27. And Jack Champion, who played Spider in Avatar: The Way of Water, he's only 18 years
Oh,
old.
I like that.
He's
He might
gonna
be a
be
little
in
too young, though.
Scream 6. He's 18.
You're talking about someone who's got to work for the police, be in forensics. He might be a little bit too young, but I do like that kid. I like that kid. Anyway, guys, what about you? What do you think would be a good pick for someone like the Flash? I mean, again, any of these names I'd be totally comfortable with. I mean, and again, if I read the script, maybe I'd think none of the names we've mentioned would be a good fit for it because we simply don't know. But as far as just really early fan projecting, what do you think? Do you have a couple of names that you'd like to see on there? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's get on to a main topic here, shall we? And the first one we're going to talk about here is this. One of the big upcoming Marvel movies that they've been talking a lot about is the brand new Captain America. Because after, Old Man Steve and the events of Falcon the Winter Soldier, Sam Wilson is now carrying the moniker Captain America with a pretty damn cool new suit. Now, I'm more of a traditionalist. Like, I think Steve Rogers is Captain America, is Steve Rogers is Captain America, is Steve Rogers kind of guy. Like, anybody can call themselves by name. But that being said, man, Sam was the one of, if not the closest friend to Steve, embodied all the ideals that Steve had a lot. But also, as we saw in Falcon the Winter Soldier, which I didn't love, but what we saw in Falcon the Winter Soldier was, while he had a lot of the ideals and was very, very close to Steve, he also was his own man and came into the ability of carrying the moniker of Captain America with the great shield and all that kind of stuff. Now, also, we've got Avengers movies coming out, which right now, as you often point out, Rob, we don't even have any idea who's in the Avengers at this point. They have not made one mention. I mean, we know Ant-Man's an Avenger. Okay.
Apparently they have lunch boxes. That's about it.
Apparently there are lunch boxes too. So the question has been, ever since, with the death of Tony, which he'll be back, and the departure of Old Man Steve, he'll be back too at some point. But who's the leader? Who's going to be the leader of the Avengers? It's not going to be Doctor Strange because, Benedict Cumberbatch already said, like, technically speaking, Doctor Strange's not even in the Avengers. He's not an Avenger. So he can't be the leader of the Avengers. They might have been thinking for a while that maybe T'Challa could have been leader of the Avengers. Obviously, and unfortunately, that can't happen. But what about Captain America? Well, Anthony Mackie, who, by the way, I love Anthony Mackie. Not only is he a terrific actor, but he always has this wonderful sense of groundedness about him, which I always just love. But they were asking him, he was being interviewed by Empire, and they asked him straight up about maybe his character becoming the new leader of the Avengers. He said this. He said, well, Sam is the only character without superpowers. He's just a regular dude hanging out with a bunch of weirdos. Being from New Orleans, I've been in a few fights, and heart and charisma never helped me in a fight. That usually just got me beat up. So that might cause an issue when you go to fight somebody like Thanos. So basically, Anthony Mackie kind of put, Sam Wilson might not be the leader of the Avengers. Will he be in whatever Avengers movie come along? Absolutely, he will be. Now, I concur with him, but it's not because he doesn't have powers. Because Batman is kind of considered to be the de facto leader of anything in DC. And of course, Batman has no powers other than being rich. So there's that. The reason I don't think I could see Sam becoming the leader of the Avengers is because while he has been an Avenger, he's always been seen as a sidekick to Steve. And are other members of the Avengers suddenly going to go, oh, now you're our leader? It's kind of the same thing when people would suggest to me, well, Spider-Man will be the new leader of the Avengers. Spider-Man is a child. You think like Rhodey, who is a Air Force captain or colonel now at this point, or now he's in the government, I guess, with the upcoming Secret Invasion. But do you think Rhodey's going to go, oh, yeah, I'm going to take orders from this kid who got bit by a spider a couple of years ago and is basically a child? No, they're not going to do that.
Come on, they're all about that superhero life.
They're all about that super life.
Rhodey could be the leader of the Avengers.
I mean, Rhodey is a far more interesting name. Of course, now Sam is military as well.
Right.
Like Sam is military. So, I mean.
But Rhodey's much more familiar with the equipment.
Yes. Oh, and the procedure and the responsibilities and all that kind of stuff. He went through Civil War,
yep.
So he's got a better perspective now of both sides of the argument and all that.
And he's coming up in Secret Invasion and in Armor Wars.
Yep. So there's an argument there. Now, the argument against that is that War Machine Rhodey has never been an A-tier level character in the MCU. So there's that argument.
Captain Marvel.
I don't think that she's off-world too much. I think so. I don't know who they're going to make the leader, but I don't think it's going to be Sam Wilson's, Anthony Mackie's Sam Wilson. I just don't think it's going to be them. Anyway, Christian, you hear Sam's comments. What do you make of them? And could you see Sam as the leader of Avengers? If not, do you have anybody else in mind who could be?
Yeah, I'm on that argument. Other side of the argument, I think it's going to be Spider-Man, and I think that's the whole point of the fourth movie, is to show that he's getting away from being a kid. And I think that that's where they're going to lead into with him. And I think that that's kind of what they were showing, where he was having this real issue with the idea that everyone was looking towards him now that Tony was gone. And even Nick Fury says to him as much, like they're all saying, Tony thought you were the guy. Tony thought that you were the guy. So I think that they're going to lead into that. I think that the fourth movie is him going to be on his own and learning, because a lot of people aren't even going to know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, how they're going to deal with that. Plus the other reason why he's the biggest star that they have right now, in my opinion, as far as like from all the movies that have worked and all the ones that have been connected to the old Avengers. Tom Holland, I think, would be the one that the audience would get behind, at least in my opinion. I think that if they build him up within that fourth movie, then he could, and because a lot of these new Avengers are going to be younger too, whether we have, if it's Kate Bishop or whoever of these other people, and to take if they're going with the young Avengers angle, maybe they are, maybe they aren't. If they're going with that, he would make sense. As far as Sam goes, I would also be okay with that too. I like the way Sam earned Captain America, by the way, because when he was just given the shield at the end of the movie, you're like, all right, I guess that makes sense. He respects him, but he earned it in that show, and what he needed to do and what he went through mentally and the fight that he had to do. Because I really enjoyed the character of Sam. I think that he's just one of those people you root for. But him being the leader, he proved in the show that he's got it. He's got what it takes. I mean, Bucky's too a little kooky, I guess.
He's got a little bit too much history.
Yeah. Plus the fact that he's going to be in the
Thunderbolts.
Yeah. So I think Spider-Man will wind up being the leader.
See, the one argument you made for Spider-Man that I agree with is the fact that there is no question of the remaining. Now that Tony's gone, Cap is gone, he's the most popular character. Again, if I'm living in that world, he's a child who knows nothing about leadership. But that's just me. Rob, who could you see being a leader? Could it be Sam? Because something you said about him, he kind of earned it. That Sam earned that mantle. Yeah. To me, it goes back to something I mentioned earlier, that I completely agree with you. He earned it because he was always in Steve's shadow. He earned it by becoming his own man.
Yes.
With his own differences and things, which is why ultimately I really like the character. I don't know. How do you see it, Rob?
I don't think that Sam Wilson can be the leader, only because, like he pointed out himself, he's just a normal guy. And with Thanos level threats, he can't be first through the door. You need to have somebody. That's why I think that of all the people that have, and only because, again, in the comics, there was a time when Carol Danvers did lead the Avengers.
Yes.
In Civil War II. I could see her, based on what's going to happen in Secret Invasion and Armor Wars, I could see her, Earth is her home, coming back to Earth at least for a while, out of necessity, because we got Celestials on Earth. Arishem the Judge is coming back. Who knows what the Fantastic Four will bring about? And Earth is the epicenter of certain activity. So there might be a reason why she has to come back. I could see her leading the Avengers. But even then, John, who's on the team?
Yeah.
I mean, the problem is you bring back a very powerful individual in Carol Danvers, and she is the Avengers. I mean, maybe she's like, hey, Doctor Strange, Camertage or leave the Sanctum Sanctorum in New York. I need your help. I mean, we don't know. And if you look at the Avengers, I mean, obviously, the Tony Stark's technology became great to the point of, as you pointed out, always nanotech magic.
Yeah, it's just magic.
And then you've got super soldiers. I mean, the Hulk can't lead, but he's the muscle. So you've got Hulk, but who's on an Avengers team? New people? They can't have the young characters that we've been introduced to. There's nobody really. We don't have a meta-human group that can face cosmic threats right now. Earth is vulnerable.
Well, there are a few. I mean, we got, so as we look at the upcoming The Marvels, so we've got Photon, or whatever name she's going to go by.
Again, what's her power level?
Yeah, so we don't know power, but the powers are there. Ms. Marvel, Captain Marvel. We get the aforementioned Spider-Man, Shang-Chi. Now, granted, not a guy with powers, but once he has the rings,
right,
a lot of power.
But again, has been into one battle in his whole life.
Yeah, big one though against Wenwu.
It was a big one.
So
against his dad.
That's what we got years to get to the next Avengers movie. What's that?
Wong.
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 They've been setting Wong up like what even Feige said is now the Wong cinematic.
And
universe.
he is
I guess
the
it's the same
sorcerer.
argument with Doctor Strange though too. They have other things to take care of.
Yeah.
But I mean, but if you talk about people who can battle time, it's.
And
those
if you
guys.
look at the Avengers, I mean, obviously Black Widow is just a human, so that's where Sam Wilson fits in. It takes the Black Widow slot. Carol Danvers, Hulk. So Hulk's there. Thor. So there's Thor. Is he going to come back to Earth?
Around,
Thor's still around. So you got Thor. If you got the five,
whatever is left over, the Guardians.
yeah, absolutely. Maybe Nebula. I don't know. That would be interesting. We don't think Drax is going to make it, but if you have 4 or 5 key core team members, I mean,
Has Chris Pratt said that he's done? Because I know that Batista, right? So I mean, Pratt's another one that
could be.
Pratt could very well be.
But he's
another
just
one.
a human. Well, I guess he's not. He's half celestial.
But he lost that power.
He did lose that power, but I mean, look, I don't think it's necessary that, because you mentioned Rhodey before, also he doesn't have any powers either. So
and Widow was the de facto when we got into the beginning of Endgame. Widow was the leader of what was left of the Avengers.
Because that was just an Anthony Mackie comment who said that he's not going to be the leader and doesn't have the powers. That's not the power.
No,
the powers
but
that be
okay,
there
so
making
that's
that
not a
decision.
bad lineup. Then if you look at Carol Danvers, Rhodey, Thor, Hulk, and then whether it's Shang-Chi's been an Avenger, could be, or I mean, that's the 5th person. That's not a bad team.
She-Hulk's probably going to be in there too, by the way.
And She-Hulk would be a good member of the Avengers as well in terms of muscle.
I just did not like that show at all, but I liked her a lot. So I would.
Yeah, I like
doesn't know how to fight.
I'd like to see her in a better capacity, used in a different capacity. So,
all right, guys. Question is for you. Who do you think? First of all, we don't even know who's going to be in the Avengers.
No.
So the bigger question then is who's going to be the leader of the Avengers as we get into it? We're hearing thoughts about maybe Sam, maybe Rhodey, maybe Spider-Man, maybe Captain Marvel. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's get into our final topic here today. And that one is this. Now, granted, this one's a little close to my heart because it has to do with my man, the greatest Superman of all time, Henry Cavill. And I remember how excited I was. I took everybody out to lunch, actually, that day. If you guys remember, the day they announced that Henry Cavill made it official that he was coming back as Superman, I took everybody out to lunch.
How'd that work
Then they
out for
fired
you?
him. John made us pay him back.
Yeah.
I made everybody pay me back for lunch. And what's the name of the place up the street that we went to? I keep forgetting. They had the
McDonald's.
No, McDonald's. We went to
The Derby or
the Derby. That's
Yeah.
right, the Derby room. I took everybody to lunch over the Derby room, had a good time, and then we found out he wasn't going to be anymore because things change. And my whole perspective on this. I love Henry Cavill. I think he's the greatest Superman of all time. I wanted to see more Henry Cavill as Superman, but I get it. The cinematic universe, the business comes first. And if to serve the overall plan, you need a new Superman, it sucks, but I get it and I understand it and I accept it. Now, James Gunn, who is, I believe, because I love James, but I believe he is too active on social media. I don't believe he should be as active on social media as it is because situations can arise like the ones we have today. When he revealed a couple things, some people thought, oh, maybe Superman Legacy was meant to be a Henry Cavill project, to which he replied to one person, oh, Superman Legacy was always a separate project. Well, okay, that's fine. But then in responding to another average person on Twitter, hey, what's confusion? Is Superman this, that, and the other thing? Well, James Gunn said this on Twitter. He said,
over here.
Superman Legacy was always around. I was hired to write Superman Legacy over 6 months ago, and I don't know why that happened. I was hired to write Superman Legacy over 6 months ago. Now, for those of you who do math,
Not me.
that was prior to them announcing that James Gunn was taking over, and prior to Henry Cavill saying to the world that I'm going to be coming back as Superman. Now, this has caused, in certain corners and circles online, a little bit of an uproar amongst people, saying there was a conspiracy this whole time. They lied to Henry. They let Henry believe that he was going to come back as Superman when they knew the whole time he was never going to come back as Superman, because James Gunn was already writing Superman Legacy. And here's the thing, unlike most of the time when these conspiracy theorists spout off and there's really nothing there to justify them spouting off, in their defense this time, the math. So when Henry said he was coming back as Superman, James Gunn was already writing Superman Legacy. And therefore, does that mean, as some people are proposing, that they pulled a big con on Henry Cavill, that he was never going to come back as Superman? And here's the gist of their argument. They only brought back Henry. They lied to Henry for this so he could be in Black Adam to try to boost the box office for Black Adam. All right. Couple things first. If Warner Brothers really wholeheartedly believed that Henry Cavill's mere presence in a post-credit scene was going to boost the box office of Black Adam, number one, they were wrong, because it didn't do very well. But if they really believed that even just putting Henry, if their belief at Warner Brothers Tower was that Henry Cavill just being in a post-credit scene, this was going to boost the box office, well, then why wouldn't you make a full movie with him? If Warner Brothers actually believed that just his presence in a post-credit scheme was going to change their financial futures, well, if that's the case, then they would be making and planning 3 more Henry Cavill Superman movies. It's just that simple. You don't put him in a post-credit scene believing it's going to change the financial fate of Black Adam and not believe making his own movie wouldn't make any money. Of course they would. So that argument goes out the window. Then why was James Gunn talking about that he was already writing Legacy, and that must have meant that Henry Cavill was never going to be back? I think the most common sense answer to this, and maybe you guys have a better one, I think the most common sense answer to this is this. It's no different than Michael B. Jordan's or J.J. Abrams' Superman
100%.
projects, right? They had multiple Superman projects that were going to be outside of their DC realm that Michael B. Jordan was working on for a while. J.J. Abrams is working, and apparently they say is still working on one that's going to be outside the DCU, whatever. And it stands to reason that they also had James Gunn working on one, Superman Legacy. I believe, and James Gunn hasn't told me this, nobody's told me this, I could be wrong, maybe James Gunn, who is overactive on Twitter, will jump on Twitter and refute me. But I believe what was probably happening 6 months ago was that this project was going to be in addition to these, and maybe they were just having all these multiple Superman projects to see what stuck. But then when James Gunn took over the leadership of DC, they thought, you know what? I think this script I've been writing is the one that makes most sense for DC as a whole. And we're going to make this the new Superman. And unfortunately, Henry doesn't fit this Superman that we're doing. We're going to move on with a new actor. I think that's the one that makes most sense. So I don't think there was anything nefarious. I don't think Henry got duped. I don't think Henry is so dumb that he didn't see through the ruse. I don't think they were all planning to set up Henry to tell the world that he was coming back as Superman only to find out he wasn't. They planned it all along. I don't believe that. I think if you just take a deep breath, step back, look at it objectively, I think this is just something that naturally evolved. Anyway, Christian, you see the situation. How do you feel about it?
Oh, there's a lot going on with this in general. Like, because you go back 6 months, if you look at that report, that's like late August, right? So when he got hired on to do it. So that was right as the promotion of Black Adam was supposed to come out anyway. So the conversations with Henry were happening. If you believe the report, he shot his scene like a couple of weeks or so before the movie even came out, or whenever it was. So there was all that was happening, and I do think that they had intent. And remember, they had the old regime that was telling Henry he wasn't going to be in anymore, and they set up the J.J. Abrams thing, and then Zaslav comes in, and he wants to do something, because I don't disagree that they definitely put him in the movie to sell more tickets. That's now whether or not they're being nefarious and not having him and telling him they were going to do all these things with him, I think that they probably did do that, and they probably also thought, in the same way that they're going to have these conversations about Ezra Miller, John, whether you're going to like it or not like it, but they're going to, if this movie The Flash winds up making a lot of money, there's going to be those conversations about keeping Ezra around or not. Whether or not they get you as a ticket goer, the conversations are going to happen. Now, whether or not it happens, we'll see. Now, the same type of conversations were probably happening with Black Adam. They're like, okay, let's see. If this movie makes if it makes profit, it's close to $1 billion, we really have to consider bringing Henry back. It doesn't. So, and then the other thing is James Gunn was not hired on yet to run all of DCU. He, as you said, Todd Phillips, I think was rumored that they wanted him. So those conversations had not happened yet. And I think that once they finally say, okay, well, what's your plan? And he's like, well, now that I'm working on this movie for you guys, this is the Superman that I want to do. I don't know if I have plans for Henry. So whoever told him that sucks, because I'm going to have to be the bearer of bad news. Because James Gunn said it in his tweets. Henry was dicked over by the past regime, and he tweeted that out. And so I think that all lines up, but I do think Henry was screwed over, and I think that the way that they now, is it the people that are in charge now that screwed him over? No, I think there were a lot of different lies that were told, and I think there were a lot of different things that were told to him in hopes that this movie Black Adam was going to make the money it did. It didn't, so they're like, okay, well, we have someone else in charge now. He doesn't want to do your movie anymore, and I hope Marvel scoops him up and puts him in as Dr. Doom.
You know, what's interesting here too is if you look back at the history of everybody all the talent who has worked with Henry Cavill, like Dave Bautista was willing to throw Disney on a fire.
Yep.
Because Chris Pratt went to bat, Zoe Saldana, like everybody, Nathan Fillion, everybody who's worked with James Gunn is like, he is always on your side. Like when you're talent that work with him, he is always on your side. He always deals above board with you. That's one of the reasons I just can't believe for a second that there was anything nefarious, some concerted effort by Gunn or Zaslav to like screw Henry Cavill or anything like that. Who, by the way, is now moving on to do a lot of other stuff, including his true dream project of Warhammer. But anyway, Rob, you hear about this story. What's your perspective on it?
Well, first of all, I think it's important to say when James Gunn was hired by Warner Brothers 6 months ago, that means the deal was done. So this negotiation for him to write Superman was happening way before 6 months ago. So that's 6 months.
Yeah.
I mean, he was working for Warner Brothers for quite some time. He worked on Suicide Squad, and I am sure the powers that be at Warner Brothers were looking at Suicide Squad taking shape and were loving what they saw. Then he went on and did Peacemaker, because they greenlit Peacemaker before Suicide Squad had even come out. So they had these two projects in conjunction. I am sure they loved working with Gunn. They were having the best time. The actors were having the best time. They were having the best time. They were looking at the dailies from the Suicide Squad and then whatever was coming out of Peacemaker and going, oh my God, we got to lock this guy up. And that's when they started. They probably went to James Gunn and said, James Gunn, what do you want to do next? And you know what James Gunn said? Superman. Because what would you say? If you're working in the DC, there's no other character. He's not going to be like, I want to do Bouncing Boy from the Legion of Superheroes. He's not going to do that.
Although if anybody would,
he would do it. Maybe he'll bring, but that's the thing. So James Gunn did made the smart play, because James Gunn is not going to do a Peacemaker Superman. He's going to do a mythic Superman for the ages, because that's what anybody who loves comic book characters would do. He'll bring his own twist on it, but he's going to give you the Superman movie that everybody's wanted. That's probably what he pitched to them. Because he's not going to, I want to do the Peacemaker version of Superman. No one's going to go for that. The executives probably listened to him and said, well, that sounds great. And James Gunn's like, awesome. I'll have my people call your people and we'll start the deal. And that probably took months to power out those deal memos, for whatever. Because James Gunn, you think Kevin Costner asked for a lot of money? You think James Gunn wasn't going to ask for a lot of money? He made the Suicide Squad and people could say, yeah, it didn't do as well as it should have. That's a different story. The movie's still good. And Peacemaker rules. And the series at HBO, by the time they got that deal made, and there's a reason why Zaslav picked him and Peter Staten.
Safran.
Saffron. Staten's a old executive I worked for. But so this stuff, there is no conspiracy. There really isn't. There was no plans to bring Henry Cavill back to the DC universe until, of course, Dwayne Johnson probably brought it up, as we've talked about and speculated on the show many times because they had the same manager. And that happened. He was able to make it happen. But beyond that, there was no plans to make a Henry Cavill Superman movie. There was maybe the idea that they would make one, but there was no official plans. He was not hired to be Superman and then fired from Superman. He was made promises. He could finally admit he came back because they shot the scene.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. There's no conspiracy. That's not how the film business works. He wanted to. They probably said, yeah, we want to have you come back. It didn't work. You know, if that had made $1 billion, if Black Adam had made $1 billion, they wanted Superman to fight Black Adam. That's what Dwayne Johnson wanted.
Well, that's what Dwayne Johnson wanted.
And that's what they were planning on doing, probably. So Dwayne Johnson's like, yeah, man, we're going to do this. And then the next movie, we're fighting.
Well, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? There's some rumblings going on about this, that, and the other thing. I mean, I think it's all very, very easily and simply and common sensely explained. Some people see conspiracy theories and all that kind of stuff. To what, this is the thing, to what, if that conspiracy theory was true, to what end?
That's just not how
they
the
were
business
just
works.
for fun, they wanted to screw Henry Cavill over? Like, that's the problem. Anyway, but maybe you guys have a different perspective on it. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, we are now going to open up our super chats and take your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, or question you'd like Christian and Rob and I to address, go ahead and start firing in those now. Fire them in quickly, though, because we only leave the super chats open for just a couple of minutes. Now, before we get to those, though, we're going to take a couple of seconds and thank a couple of more sponsors of the John Campea Show here today, our friends at the Black Tux and Fume. Hey guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, the Black Tux. It's time we had the talk. You know the one I'm talking about, the one that ends in the 3-letter word. I'm talking about a tux. And when you need a tux, the best place to go to get one is the Black Tux. The Black Tux makes it super easy to get an on-trend, top-quality, guaranteed to fit tux without ever needing to leave your house. So here's how it works. Take the Black Tux Fit Quiz, pick the style you want to wear, and boom, your tux is delivered to your door 10 days before the day you need it. That's plenty of time to try it on and make sure it wears you well. And hey, if the fit's not quite right, say hello to the Black Tux Fit Guarantee. Order a better size within a day or two of receiving the less than great fitting one, and they'll send another one right away at no extra cost. Their expert fit specialist will help you find the perfect style tux or suit and make sure it fits just right. Listen, I've been dubious in the past about online sites or apps that say they can get your measurements, but the fit quiz with the Black Tux works great. And man, I wish I had had these guys for so many events I've attended over the years. So rent or buy, the Black Tux is the best place to go when you need a tuxedo for a wedding or a special night. And right now, when you go to thebblacktux.com/Campea and use the code Campea, you'll save $20 off your order. That's THEBLACKTUX.com/Campea, code Campea to save $20. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Fume. Be smart. Don't start. Kick the habit. Put it out before it puts you out. All phrases we've heard 100 times, and yet we still continue to have bad habits. Today's sponsor, Fume, is on a mission to accelerate humanity's breakup from the bad habits that consume far too many of us. Fume is a natural diffusive device that uses plants and behavioral science to help you trade out your negative habit for a positive one. You see, Fume is not a vape. It's a non-electronic device designed to transform your negative habits. Because instead of pods filled with potentially harmful chemicals like a vape, Fume uses cores infused with plants like peppermint and cinnamon for delicious natural flavors. And Fume's new version 2 model is snappy and tactile. With an adjustable airflow dial and a magnetic end cap, your fingers will always have something to do. The device itself is really attractive, and once I popped in the core and took my first inhale of it, it tasted fantastic. Guys, the easiest way to stop a bad habit is to switch to a positive one, and Fume is designed to perfectly do just that. So head over to tryfume.com and use the promo code Campea to save 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. The Journey Pack comes with 3 unique flavors and the new version 2 Fume to help kickstart your positive habits. That's tryfume, TRYFUM.com, and use the code Campea to save an additional 10% off your order today. And thank you to our friends at the Black Tux and Fume for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, with that down, let's get over to your comments and questions. Rob, what do we got up first?
We got Matt's. Is it Zachary first?
Matt Sanders.
Matt Sanders says it would be extremely painful. Oh, it would be extremely painful for you.
For you.
Bane Valentine special. He was hilarious. And that's a $20 super chat from Matt.
Oh, my God. Thank you, Matt, for that. Chris, did you see the Harley Quinn holiday special? Or
No.
the Valentine's Day special?
No.
Don't watch it with the kids.
Yeah.
But do watch. It would be extremely painful for you. God, Bane on Harley Quinn is one of my favorite characters on TV right now. That dude is. I know it's so juvenile, but
People love that show.
when
I've
they
never seen-
do you watch Harley Quinn?
No, I've heard great things about it.
There's the line of the century for me. Bane is like this ridiculous character, but Harley and Ivy infiltrate the Court of Owls, and they think they're about to uncover this huge thing there, but they get there and they realize it's a big monthly orgy. But they run into Bane before the orgy starts, and he's got a big plate, and he goes, "I'm carving up for the fuck fest," and I just died. I just absolutely died. But they take it to the next level, to another filthy level in the holidays, in the Valentine's Day special. But it's so freaking funny. It's so funny. All right, what's next? Thank you again for that, Matt, by the way. That's extremely generous of you. Thank you for supporting us on that level.
Jay says, which of these would you like to see get a proper successful remake or reboot? The Wraith, Shocker, or Lawnmower Man?
Lawnmower Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Same.
Lawnmower Man.
Yeah, Lawnmower Man.
It's
Who was in that? It was one of
Was it Jeff Fahey? Was a Lawnmower Man?
that's
Jeff
not
something.
that's
It's
not
definitely Jeff.
oh, I'm trying to put my finger on who it was anyway, but I love Lawnmower Man. I like that freaked me out when I was younger. I
That's
like that
based
a
on
lot.
a Stephen King story.
Yeah, sure.
Yes,
The
it
original-
is.
From
Yep.
Night Shift, and the original stories.
You're right. It's Jeff Fahey.
Yep, you're right. All right,
Pierce
what's next?
Brosnan, obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
That's who I was thinking of.
Yeah.
That's who I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Seconds from Disaster says, something that is really working for me in The Last of Us is the dialogue.
Yeah.
Everyone's delivery feels so smooth and natural instead of forced or unrehearsed.
You know what's as important as what is being said in the dialogue of The Last of Us? It's the stuff that's not being said. Again, you look at shows with lesser writing, and like they overpack the dialogue sometimes. Rob, you and I have pointed out the efficiency of the writing in The Last of Us is crazy. They accomplish things in 15 seconds of screen time that lesser writers will take up a 2 or 3 minute scene to communicate that thought. They're like, well, let's communicate a thought and let's move on to the next stuff. And they handle so with great efficiency. Hey, Chris, I don't think we've talked much about
Chris?
Last of Us. Well, Christian. So, The Last of Us. But I know you've been watching the show, and you're like, what would you say is like maybe the one thing that has really worked for you about what would you say is the key element for you that stands out for you for the show?
It's a soup of stuff, to be honest. But the dialogue is fantastic and second to none, because they what they do throughout dialogue in this show is they'll sprinkle a little piece of dialogue that will just tell you so much about a person. Just the same way if the three of us have a conversation with each other and we outside of this and we pick up little things that you said, like, oh, well, that must mean that they do this or they do that. And you pick these things up, things that they say that ultimately turn out to be relevant to their character later on. But it's the acting in general. And something that really stood out to me was Bella Ramsey in, I'm not going to say, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but there's an episode, a big traumatic moment happens at the end, and she does this little gasp. And it's just so realistic. It's like just a realistic moment, that little things. And it wasn't just the fact that she did it. It was the fact, I'll be back there. It was this fact that they used this particular take, and they used it because they knew. They felt what we were going to feel, and they put it out there. So it's one of these things that everything right now is just working.
All right, what's next?
The Fusion Brothers says, Rob, Jimmy C has confirmed that True Lies in the Abyss will finally be getting 4K Blu-ray releases this year. The gods rain favor upon us in 2023. Let me just tell you, the Fusion Brothers, he's been saying that every year since I was 2. Before the movies were made. It was supposed to be March.
Since I was 2.
I'm just saying. I mean, look,
Blu-rays are coming. What's a Blu-ray?
I know. I'm gonna admit to you, there are 4 Jimmy C. Lightstorm movies that are not on high def: The Abyss, True Lies, and the Lightstorm produced movies that Soderbergh's Solaris remake that James Cameron produced, and Catherine Bigelow's Strange Days. I just got the new 20th anniversary of Strange Days on Blu-ray from Germany with a new transfer because I am tired of waiting. But God, let's hope that the gods smile upon us because I want The Abyss on 4K. So the Fusion Brothers, since you're bros, maybe the 3 of us can be simpatico and get that disc together at the same time, and we can order from Amazon.
True Lies might be the first disc I buy in like 20 years.
I want that on 4K. I've got a bootleg Blu-ray of it, but I want, taken off like Spanish television, but I really want the 4K.
Yep. All right, what's next?
Send me your Lightstorm movies. Santiago Lugo says, the 3 most evil and vile events in British history. Imperialism, invading the U.S. in the War of 1812, and not giving the BAFTA to K.U. Kwan.
Listen, I don't believe. Well, I think K.U. Kwan is going to win the Oscar. I do, but I am not invested in him winning. What I mean by that is, I think his performance is fantastic, but I don't look at him as it's not like Cate Blanchett in the Best Lead Actress category. It's just clear Cate Blanchett. Everybody else comes after that. I don't feel that way about Ke Huy Quan. So if he doesn't win, I'm not going to have a problem with it. I'll be thrilled for him if he does, and I think totally deserving. But if he doesn't, I just think it's too close. I think that race is just too close. I don't know. Do you guys have thoughts on that?
I think it's pretty. I mean, I think he's pretty much. He's close because who won it? It was Barry
Keoghan. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think between the two of them. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be Barry though for the Oscars. I think it's Ke Huy Quan is the lead choice. Like, that's why so many people, because he was winning everything else.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing that happened though with like Stallone. Stallone was winning a lot of things, and Stallone won the Golden Globe, and then Stallone lost in the Oscars. So you just
For Creed,
it's never a guarantee. It's never guaranteed.
Yeah, and I just see that one as, so that's why even if he's winning all the other things, I don't see him as head and shoulders, his performance is head and shoulders above all the other nominees. So if he wins, awesome. If he doesn't, I don't think it's a travesty. All right, what's next?
Suthius says, since it's a sausage party, favorite hot dog toppings.
Onions and mustard.
Spicy mustard and relish.
I like cheese.
I just like mine raw. I don't like anything on my hot dogs.
That's nice.
Oh boy.
That's what I got to do.
I'm going to give you the correct answer.
Please don't say sour cream.
The way God intended.
If you put ketchup, I'm gonna
Mayonnaise.
I knew it. I knew it was going to be something like sour cream. Mayo.
Mayo
Come on, man.
is the only thing. It's true.
Spoken
So
by a true Canadian.
Anne went to Vegas the other weekend to go see another Jonas Brothers concert. Her and her sister went to go see the Jonas Brothers. And I got to show the video of this. She ended up sitting in the VIP box with the Jonas's wives. So the girl from Game of Thrones, Sophie Turner, and Priyanka. They were Anne is actually in Priyanka's
Now, how did that
Instagram
happen?
video. It's a long story, but
What does this have to do with hot dogs?
so since Anne was in Vegas, I decided, I'm going to go single over. I'm going to go on a little camping trip just myself. And the night before going camping, I thought, I bought these hot dogs, but you know what I need? I was at the movies, so I'm going to steal some of these Mayo individual packets from the AMC movie theater,
Oh
in my
my
pocket,
God.
put that on the hot dogs. That's the best topping for hot dogs.
I'm ill.
Mayo. It's a very Canadian
How about
thing.
spectacular cheddar from Trader?
Well, I
Joe's?
bought these called Better Cheddar.
You've lost all
Sausages
You've lost all
that had
credibility.
cheese in
What
it?
you're about to say in your next one.
Oh no, it's the absolute
Mayonnaise?
truth. I speak gospel, but
Lord.
these Better Cheddar hot dogs have cheddar cheese already inside the hot dog.
No.
Oh,
You
it's
got to get
delicious.
great cheddar cheese. You got to get great. Don't.
I'm gonna get a slice of pizza and put glass on it.
I think it is cheddar that's in it. I could be wrong. Anyway, I don't like cheese whiz on stuff. Anyway, all right. What's next?
Amin says, okay, if you had to hire one of these two folks to create, write, and produce a TV show for you, who would you hire? Tony Gilroy or Craig Mazin?
You know what? I do not mean this as a cop out, but this is the 100% truth. It depends on what kind of show you're trying to do.
Yeah, agreed.
Right? If you're trying to do a great human condition drama, I'm going with Mason. If you're trying to put political intrigue and thrill, now Chernobyl had a lot of political intrigue in it too, but if you're trying to go for more of a thriller kind of thing, something a little bit more along the lines of it, I go with Tony Gilroy. So it really depends. In a pinch though, and in a vacuum, if I had to pick one right now, if I'm making it for HBO, I'm going Mason.
I'd like to hire Tony Gilroy to make a Michael Clayton TV show if we can get George Clooney to come back to play Michael Clayton.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Yeah, I can't choose because of the same reason that you said. It's just a matter.
Yeah, I mean, it's
a matter of what it is. But I mean, I'm not worried about it if I have either one of them.
Yeah, I mean,
both you win. Either
you got
way,
an Academy Award winner and the guy who's made one of the best TV miniseries of all time. So
yeah. All right, what's next?
A. Marcellus says, do you think after Secret Invasion we will have more information about the new Avengers team? I think Nick Fury is going to recognize that the Avengers are scattered and a new team needs to be formed. Well, even
we should not speak anything about it.
No, but I mean, theoretically, I think that Nick Fury himself has been scattered. Last time we saw him, he was in space.
Well, yes, Nick Fury has been scattered.
I don't think Nick Fury knows what the hell's going on.
Of course. Well, I mean, we know a few things about Nick Fury, so we gotta be careful about what we do.
Yeah, but I mean, where he is right now,
right,
as far as the MCU is concerned.
All right, what's next?
Murray Reich says, I wanted to like Velma, but after barely 2 episodes in, it tries so hard to be like Harley Quinn, and it's not even that funny. I want to continue, but it's just a hard watch, even though I like the premise.
Again, that was my problem with it. Now, there are people out there who have a problem with it simply because the show doesn't conform to their political agendas, and so I don't give a fuck about what they think. I just don't think it's a good show.
Right.
I mean, and the criticism is right. Like I watched a little bit. I don't think it's the complete dumpster fire that some people make it out to be, but it's just not good. And you're right. It's just the moment I started watching it, you can see it screaming that it's trying to be like Harley Quinn. It's trying to capture that Harley Quinn feel and DNA. And some of it made me giggle when they're kind of parodying adult animation. That's when it kind of works in a way. It's just not good. It's just trying to be Harley Quinn, but their writers are not as talented as Harley Quinn's writers. And it's just, yeah, I wanted to give a shot. I wanted to like it, but have you tried checking out Velma yet?
Not my thing.
Again, not one you should watch with the kids.
No.
Yeah, not that one. All right, what's next?
Vess, a.k.a. Mr. No Days Off, says, with the word of mouth success of Pooh, Blood, and Honey, what public domain story would you like to get the same low-budget horror treatment? Thanks. Bring on the filthy.
I'm not really sure.
Frozen.
Yeah, that's not going to go public domain for a long time. I think while I got very excited about when they first announced that this Pooh, Blood, and Honey was coming, I was very, very excited about it. And then they did the Grinch one, the mean one, right? Which, same thing. It's taking a public domain thing. We're going to make a horror. Whoville was the site of a murder spree. I'm over the gimmick now. Yeah. I think that they made it was great. I think it was really fun that they were doing it. The movie apparently is not so good, but I'm now kind of over the gimmick, so I don't really want to see another one.
Is Little Mermaid public?
Yes.
Well, the Hans Christian Andersen story.
Yeah. Nothing that was original
that's
to the Disney thing is, but
right.
yeah.
Have you ever seen the Polish horror musical, The Lure?
No.
You should.
Okay.
It's about killer mermaids.
Ah.
I'm not kidding. It's the best thing ever.
There you go.
Truly.
All right, what's next?
Murray Reich says, did you see Blood and Honey yet?
No.
No. I've heard just from too many people how terrible it is, except for Taylor. But everybody else I've talked to just said it was terrible, so I'm probably not going to check it out. All right, what's next?
Al Renshaw says, it's game week, John. Time to get ready for the glory that will be Cocaine Bear. Probably not going to be great, but don't care. Hashtag Cocaine Watch.
I'm not going to lie to you. I did not get excited about Cocaine Bear at first because while I am completely in love with Elizabeth Banks, I love Elizabeth Banks. I have, just being honest, I have not loved her directorial efforts up to this point. And while the idea, the conceit of the movie based on a true story, like influenced by true events, is interesting, I wasn't super excited about it. And then that trailer came out. And that trailer looked like everything a movie like this should be. And I'm not going to lie to you, if I'm being honest with myself, I think I have been more excited about Cocaine Bear than I was for Ant-Man. And I love Ant-Man. Not this particular Ant-Man movie, but I love the Ant-Man character, and I love the Ant-Man movies, other than this new one. So I am very excited about Cocaine Bear this week. I'm actually dying to see it. Now, I'm not hearing great things about it, but I'm not going to let that temper my excitement. I'm very excited to see it. Have you had a chance to see this yet?
I see it on Wednesday, but I
got invited to that one on Wednesday, yeah.
I'm going, and I was going in with the same kind of excitement, but then I'm hearing not good things, but I still am excited to see it. And I agree with you. The question I was going to ask you, John, about Elizabeth Banks is that this, because her career is going to be fine as far as acting goes for a while.
Yeah.
She had a hit in Pitch Perfect 2. Charlie's Angels didn't work out so well. If she misses with this one, critically and financially, is directing, is she in trouble?
I don't think Pitch Perfect 2 was a hit.
Money-wise, it was, wasn't it?
I look that up for us, Taylor. What did Pitch Perfect 1 make? What did Pitch Perfect 2 make? And then more importantly, what did Pitch Perfect 3 make? Because
she directed 3? I don't think she directed 3.
I'm not sure she did. But I mean, the results of the box office 3 is going to be partially commentary on the quality of the second one. Because the first one was great. The first Pitch Perfect was wonderful to me. The second one was a big step down in quality for me. What do we got there?
So, according to Box Office Mojo, the lifetime grosses of the Pitch Perfect franchise: number 1 made $65 million, number 2 made $184 million, and number 3 made $104 million. Okay,
so it went down after the second one came out. So, and yeah, Charlie's Angels, great. I thought it was a great idea for a movie. Didn't work out. I think Elizabeth Banks's directorial career is done if this flops.
Yeah, same.
And now, it may not flop. I'm guessing it's not going to flop, but if it does, I think her directorial career is probably over at this point. But we'll see. We'll find out. I love her though. Like, I hope for all the success in the world for her. I think she's great. But yeah. All right. What's next?
Carlos Sosa says, I think Reed Richards will be a leader in Avengers.
It's hard to say that about a character who's not even in the MCU.
Yeah, I know.
At this point. So it's very, very difficult to say that.
I mean, I think Reed Richards has always been sort of Avengers adjacent because he has the Fantastic Four.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's...
All right, what's next?
The Rice Rat says, with his love for the wacky and less mainstream, over or under 15%, that James Gunn dusts off that old Wonder Twins script and says, I can make this work.
If you made the Wonder Twins like Parks and Rec's John Ralphio and his sister, then maybe. But no, I don't see him dusting off the Wonder Twins script.
The only thing I want to see from Wonder Twins come back is because now, as I told you, I'm on like such a major 1883 kick. Because Isabel May was cast as one of the
Yeah,
Wonder
she was
Twins.
to star alongside KJ. Yeah.
So, and I had said I don't know what they're planning to do with the cast of Flash. If they're bringing back the actress who's playing Supergirl, great. But if they're doing a full reboot, I was like, she would be great as Supergirl in a reboot, Isabel May. But I just want to see her come back and do something because I think she is an extraordinary talent.
Yeah. Well, you still get to hear her narrate 1923.
Yep.
She still narrates 1923. Yep. All right. What's next?
Amin says, what did Yoda say when he saw himself in 4K?
HDMI.
Come on, man. That's good.
It's not bad.
That's good. Come
Technically speaking, HD is 1080, not 4K. Just get a little technical nerdy on you.
Your joke wasn't informed in the way that it should have been.
HDMI. That's 4K. That's actually not bad.
So I gotta give that up.
But not bad.
I'll give it up.
All right, what's next?
Rafael Castillo says, seen the Red Band trailer for what is that?
Sisu?
Sisu yet?
Nope.
Basically, John Wick in 1994 Finland.
1944.
Did I say 1944 Finland? But he's killing Nazis, and it looks like a lot of fun.
Nazis, like in Inglourious Basterds.
The Nazis.
I've not heard of this. I've not seen it.
Business is
Sisu.
No, I've not heard of it. Not even heard of the project. I've never seen the trailer, but I'll keep my eye open for it. All right, what's next?
All good. A. Marcella says, Lucas Hill is comic book Barry Allen to me.
Nice.
Lucas Hill's a nice, yep.
Lucas Hill.
Yep. I like that pick. Again, it'll all depend on what the thing is, but that's not a bad one too. I like that one. All right, what's next?
Caden says, Wanda redemption arc. Get you back on the lunchbox. She leads the Avengers.
No.
As of now, only her and Kang are confirmed Nexus beings in the MCU.
Listen, Wanda we can't put this. We're not even extra dimensional people. Wanda's murdered a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like straight up murdered a lot of people. You think the sorcerers are gonna have it?
No.
You know how many the member of the sorcerers clans that she murdered in that movie? They ain't gonna have that. So no, Wanda will never be the leader of the Avengers.
I agree.
She could have a moral turnaround, but there's not a true redemption arc for Wanda left. She could have a moral turnaround, decide I can't be like that anymore, all that kind of stuff. That's great, but she's too far gone. She cannot have a true redemption arc, I don't believe. It's like gonna be like Vader. Like had Vader survived the end of Return of the Jedi, that's great. He's not on the dark side anymore. There's still a galactic trial that's going to happen that's going to find him guilty of crimes against humanity and put him away for the rest of his days. But so, yeah, I just don't see it. All right, what's next?
TJ Arcaden says, oh, I already said that. TJ Perry says, new Avengers leader, Icarus. He's dead.
He's dead. Yeah, and they confirmed he's dead.
But they can bring him back, you know.
But I mean, that is a funny line. I could lead them. Yeah, that was one of the. I don't care what he says. I
love Richard Madden. He's my choice for new James Bond. Come on, bring it on. What's up? Daniel Huena says, John, you inspired me to get into hockey.
Damn right. I'm doing God's work. Then I am doing God's work. It's the greatest sport in the world.
By the way, can I just say that our interview on Designing Hollywood with Jerry Bruckheimer is up, and Jerry Bruckheimer was one of the co-founders of the Seattle Kraken.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
NHL.
Makes me like him even more.
Yes.
Famously, where he got into an argument with Michael Ironside, or not an argument, turned his back on Ironside at a hockey game. That's why Ironside was
I did not hear that story.
Ironside wasn't in Top Gun 2. They had beef.
They had beef. He talks about that.
All right, what's next?
Josh Becker says, I just watched the 16 DCAU movies in the 52 universe, and why that'd be animated movies. And wow, I love that arc, and Damian is so cool. Can't wait to see what Gunn does with him.
Well, look, I'm in the minority in this. I think 95% of Marvel and DC animated stuff is complete tripe.
Come on.
And no, it's just garbage. Every once in a while, they got a few acorns in there that aren't bad. They got a couple ones that are pretty good, but I think for the most part but that's just me. I mean, look, that's the beautiful thing about this art, man, is that just because it doesn't appeal to one person doesn't mean it can't appeal to somebody else. And I know there's a lot of people who really like the DC and Marvel animated stuff, and that's awesome. I'm just not one of them. That's all. Okay, that's as simple. All right, what's next?
Jay says, in a no holds barred comedy sketch off, which crew coming in first, second, or third? Sketches. A, Saturday Night Live crew. B, In Living Color crew. Or 3, Chappelle's Show crew.
More consistently, Chappelle's.
I agree.
And if you were to put in Key and Peele,
but that's not in there.
Yeah, okay,
you're adding a crew.
Okay,
bro.
I'll keep Key and Peele out. Now, of course, you want to go to the real comedy legends. You want to go to, Second City. You want to go to.
You mean the Canadian?
The Canadian one, maybe Kids in the Hall.
SCTV, you're talking.
Yep,
Yeah.
SCTV. Maybe Kids in the Hall. I know, but out of that, I think consistently Chappelle, because Saturday Night Live is hit and miss.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, Saturday Night Live will put out a sketch. Like, it doesn't matter how many years old it is. That one with Kate McKinnon and Ryan Gosling with the alien abduction. That is still one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
But that's what you just said. That's the whole point with Saturday Night Live. Saturday Night Live, it depends on when they're talking about. If they're talking about right now, this crew that's writing and everything too, and putting them, then no, they're not in the running. And I think that Chappelle would probably win out of the three if I was to say out of today. But Saturday Night Live, you go through the history since 1975, and it's Saturday Night Live. They have for what they've done in certain realms. But as you mentioned, that alien abduction thing. The problem with Saturday Night Live is they destroy and overkill bits. Like they'll do the first 4 or 5 times they did that was great, and then by the time you get to the 20th or 30th time, you're like, I've seen it already, and that goes into the writing of going, stop doing it. It's like let's. It just depends on what era you're talking about as far as performers and writers go.
Did you ever see the one where I can't remember the cast members who did it, but it's the 2 former porn stars now trying to sell stuff? Moe Shannon, the finest. Did you ever see that one?
Yeah.
Oh my God, those sketches killed me. Like when Jonah Hill comes in, did somebody say vroom vroom? No. Those sketches killed me every time they did it.
Matt TV had a couple of seasons that were pretty good too.
Yeah. For sure.
All right, what's next?
Let's see. 156 Impulse says, any Star Wars movie announcements at Celebration?
Definitely.
I think 100%. Now, especially now that Bob Iger's in, I think one of the first things Bob Iger did, he sat down with Kathleen Kennedy. This is me speculating. Sat down with Kathleen Kennedy, says, Kathleen, I know you're not here for much longer, but I didn't pay $4 billion for Lucasfilm just to make streaming shows. We need to get something back on the screen now. So whether that's going to be Taika Waititi's Star Wars thing, whether that's going to be Kevin Feige's Star Wars thing, whether that's going to be Lindelof's Star Wars thing. I mean, I don't know, but I do think they make an announcement of a feature, like an official from a stage announcement of a feature film. What it is, I don't know. But I think, though, Christian, what do you think?
Go to Vegas and slap the odds down on Lindelof's movie being announced.
That does seem like the most likely,
It
right?
makes the most sense, and it would be out of the three, potential, whether it's Feige, Patty Jenkins, which I don't think is going to happen, Taika Waititi, I don't think is going to happen, but if they do any of them, it's Lindelof, because it's the only one that the reports have been like they actually have, like, Filoni's been in the room with them, and they're coming up with plans, and they're coming up with ideas, and it seems like all the little tidbits of information that it takes place after the trilogy, that Daisy Ridley's been in for meetings, all the type of, if you do the research on, like, the actual news pieces that have been coming out about it, all signs seem to go there. But I agree with you, John, that you have to announce something at this point. You don't have to tell me what it's about, but you have to tell me that's close to being in production. Because if you just go, oh, we're doing this movie with Lindelof, like, okay, cool, the same way you did one with Benioff and Weiss, and the same way you did one with Josh Trank, and the same one you did with it's like, unless you tell me when you're going to start shooting, when it's about, and who the cast is, then it's not real.
Like the way they announced Skeleton Key or Skeleton Crew.
100%.
Like here, like we're doing this thing, Skeleton Crew. Here's our cast.
And we start shooting.
Here's some concept art. We're already There needs to be something definitive like that.
Their biggest announcement can't be a novel.
No,
exactly.
They know that.
Exactly.
And London needs, because London, for people who were there in 2016, the fan experience people rave about, right? And how fun. But as far as a news piece, it was completely lackluster. They didn't know what the hell they were doing with Rogue One at the time. They had a trailer that was only shown to the audience. Half the footage didn't even make the movie. They're going to make up for that, and there's going to be a lot of announcements at Celebration.
All right, what's next?
David Cabrera says, Rob, I saw Tango Shalom in Spanish on the Spanish streamer. Is that
VIX Plus?
VIX? It was a great translation. That's news to me.
All right, one of the producers, Tango Shalom, I have no idea.
We do have our distributor that's been selling it around the world, so that's great. I mean, it's always funny because when you've made a movie and then it's been translated into another language, I always love that. When I saw Free Enterprise translated into German, it just cracked me up. So I'm glad you saw it, and I'm glad it was a good translation.
You know what's really satisfying? I watched you for, this is no exaggeration, years and years and years working on this movie.
It's true.
Like every day coming in, I was up till 3 doing a color on this, and I was up till 4 doing an audio on this, and I was up till whatever. And it's just so satisfying to see that movie come out, playing these festivals, being picked up in different markets, having people write and saying now they're even seeing it in different languages. Like it's very, very satisfying.
It's crazy, and it's opening in Germany in June. It's funny when you look, you never know. When you make something, you let it go, it goes. It's not like somebody says, oh, someone just watched your movie. It'd be great if somebody did, but it's nice to hear that. I'll tell you something. Our Ukrainian distributor asked us during the war if they could distribute it in Poland so they could make some money while the war was going on. So, and the Ukrainian trailer is great. I don't know. I don't speak Ukrainian, but the trailer they cut for the movie in Ukrainian was pretty awesome. So I like that. It's a little tiny movie. Amin says, who do you think, and thanks for those kind words, by the way, John, but who do you think has a higher chance of appearing in the Flash film in terms of small cameos? Bale's Batman or Grant Gustin's Flash?
Oh, by not remotely close, Grant Gustin's Flash.
I think he's going to be in it.
Because they did it the other way around for the CW thing. Now, I'm not saying Grant Gustin's Flash is going to. I'm just saying the likelihood between Christian Bale's Batman showing up, which I think is finite, versus Grant Gustin, well, they already had Ezra pop up in that one, so I'd still say it's only like a 8% chance, but it's much bigger than a 0.05% chance.
I think that before we get into whatever the Flashpoint universe is, there is going to be, when he's rushing through time or something, we're going to get a litany of cameos. Not just Grant Gustin, but a bunch of ones we can't even fathom yet. Things that they haven't.
Think so.
But Andy Muschietti said there are many surprises in store for you. He said that last weekend. I think it was on Instagram. So I just for fun, like going through the multiverse or whatever on the cosmic treadmill, whatever the hell's going to happen.
Christian, if they had to say to you which one has the better odds of popping up in Flash, Grant Gustin's Flash or Christian Bale's Batman, what do you think?
Gustin.
Yeah?
Yeah. Hands down.
All right.
Yeah.
What's next?
Ryan Trabuco says, "Hi, John and Ray. Great to meet both of you at the event in Burbank. Had a wonderful time.
I met Ryan there.
And Christian's stand-up was funny AF. Happy to see Puss in Boots hitting over 400 million. It's made more than Black Adam."
Wow.
God, man. I mean, I know we're all getting tired of talking about it, but if you had gone back in time 1 year and said, The Rock's Black Adam's coming out and another Puss in Boots movie, which I had no interest in for a long time, and it's delightful, and said, Puss in Boots is going to make more money than Black Adam, I would have taken that bet every day. Every day. I would have lost a lot of money on that bet.
Taylor would have won, though.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Taylor would have put all his face in Puss.
Yep, I put all my faith in Puss. I am proud of proud of Puss.
Breaking everything.
We're falling apart here.
I can't wait to revisit this Puss when it is available at home.
Wow.
Man.
And again, and Ryan, no, it was awesome meeting you at the event, Ryan. Thanks so much for coming, and thank you again to
That's
everybody
very
who
kind of
came
you. Thank
to the
you so
event.
much.
All right, what's next?
Al Renshaw says, "Rob, will you be seeing Godzilla Tokyo SOS when it comes to theaters on March 22nd? I might see it just because." Now, wait a minute. Is that the old Godzilla Tokyo SOS? Or is this new? Is this new from Toho? I'm not sure if this is old or new. If it's new, I will totally go see it. But, yeah, man, I didn't know it was coming.
All right, what's next?
CJ Rebirth says, "Sorry I missed your event Sunday, John and Christian."
Well, it's funny because, Christian and I were talking about this earlier, and, we're going to get Greg in the conversation too. We might do more. We might do. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to be very, very open and transparent. I have been not super, but just a little skeptical about doing the live events and stuff like that. Christian and Greg and I have been approached by entities that want us to do bigger scale stuff, and I've been a little bit skeptical. And I think I was the one who kind of said, let's just do it small. Let's do a little test. Let's see if we like it. Let's see if the audience likes it, all that kind of stuff. And I think Christian and Greg have been more optimistic than I was, and they were right. I had a blast. I had a really, really good time at that event we did in Burbank, and
that's good.
Everything we're hearing from the audience was the audience had a really good time, and we may do more. All right, what's next?
Dominic Suma says, anyone else miss AMC's Jedi Council? Will Disney make a Star Wars episode
10, 11, 12.
10, 11, 12? Do they eventually start a new saga without the numbers?
I do believe there will be a Star Wars 10, 11, and 12. I don't know when.
Right.
And it's not going to be a continuation of the Skywalker saga. And the numerical, I reject the idea that the numerical things have to be exclusive for the Skywalker saga. I don't believe that at all. So I believe at some point they will do a Star Wars episode moving on to the next thing. I just don't know when. I don't know if that'll be in the next 3 years, the next 5 years. I don't know. Christian, what do you think?
100%. I think you can't really say yet because I think it'll happen outside of Kathleen Kennedy's regime when it does happen.
Agreed.
I think that it'll happen in the next 15 to 20 years when they need to say, okay, let's do another one. What they need to start doing, though, is bring back that damn crawl for every movie. I don't know necessarily.
100%.
100%.
Now, I don't think you necessarily need
100%.
it for television shows, but I think for every movie, that is what made Star Wars to just feel like Star Wars. As far as you can always use the opening theme song for a Star Wars thing in the crawl. You don't have to, but you could, to just say this is a Star Wars movie, and then make it your own thing, whatever it has to be.
Because as much as I loved Rogue One, and I love Rogue One, love that movie. I'm not going to lie. It took me a little bit to get into the movie as a story because that
pencil font.
What's that?
And the pencil font that they had.
Oh
also,
yeah, like you start with that
hated it.
one
So
note.
bad. It was bad.
Boom.
Yeah, it was
Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
yeah.
I don't
Jarring.
feel like I'm in Star Wars right now.
Plus, and then the opening of Rogue One, when you see the shuttle come down, when you see Krennic, that's Star Wars, man.
That could have been a great pan down from a
Star Wars gets away with something, well, at least it did before they took away the crawl, that other movies would get chastised for, and that's giving you this exposition in text, right? It's like here's what's been going on, and we're going to give you this because it's based off those old serialized things that came out back in like the 30s. And Flash Gordon is where, and so to do that, it pays homage to what George did in the first place, and it's part of Star Wars. You rip that away, but it's just a saga thing. So if you never make the saga films ever again, you never see it. I think it was a stupid decision.
You had them in the comic. You had opening crawls in the comic books.
Yes.
You had them in the video games.
Yeah.
It's just something that it's like the Pavlovian dog, right? It's the Pavlov's response. Ring the bell, the dog salivate. You put up the opening crawl. We feel like you've now taken us into the world of Star Wars.
Yep. Also, the Disney Star Wars movies, their opening crawls, the Skywalker saga, were terrible. The actual writing of those crawls was bad. You have to go back to the original episode 4, A New Hope, because the style, it is a period of civil war. That's how it starts. Boom. You know exactly, okay, we're in the...
Again,
and then,
let you know that the prequel opening crawls were pretty rough too.
they were...
Trade dispute.
Yeah, no, I'm just... And the thing is, if you want to go back to... Star Wars has the greatest opening crawl ever. And it explains everything, and everything it sets up, it then... you see it in the next 5 minutes, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
I know who Princess Leia is. I know Rebel spaceships. I know all of this stuff. And then after that first 5 minutes, you're set. You're ready to go.
Yep.
The dead speak.
Oh,
What does
somehow
that mean?
Palpatine's.
Is there more than one dead?
Solo. Same with Solo. Solo should have started with an opening crawl. It would have made
Absolutely.
you felt like right in that world. Anyway, I'm sorry. We're almost out of time here. We got to keep moving here. What's
Look, you
next?
did,
Sorry.
Dominic.
I know. Devin Lita says Toy Story 5 in 2025 would commemorate, the original's
movie 30th anniversary,
in 1995.
I have a feeling it takes a while to make one of these Pixar. 2025 could very well be the release. Did they announce, when they announced Toy Story 5 Frozen, did they give release dates?
No.
No.
I mean, Christmas of 2025 is doable.
Or end of 2024 might be theoretically doable, but 2025 definitely doable.
Gives them
100%.
time.
All right, what's next?
Fangblaze71 says, with The Last of Us 2 being roughly twice as long as the first, do you think seasons 2 have more episodes or season 2 has more episodes?
They don't need to. Like, listen, if you do 10 episodes, that is 10 hours of narrative, right? Which you've pointed out many times accurately. Like, when you take out the actual gameplay and working through the levels, you get a much reduced more time of narrative. And as Mason is showing, you can even tell the narrative that is in the game much more efficiently than even the game did.
Yeah.
I think they will try to stretch it out with either more episodes or take the second game and break that into 2 individual seasons.
Yeah,
That's what I think
too.
Yeah, so those are far more likely, I think.
Yeah. I agree.
All right, what's next?
Matt says, I was just watching Harloff and John on the Star Wars Trivia Championship 5-way in 2017. It looks like you guys had a blast. How was it for you
That's
guys?
what we did Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah, well,
right?
I just hosted it. I mean, I wasn't in it.
That was a fun day.
Was a great. I mean, that place was packed out. There was at least. I mean, that was the one where there was 600 people in that room at least, and then because we didn't know how many people were going to show up, we had to turn away 700 people at the door.
I remember, I was walking around Star Wars Celebration. So time to get to the Star Wars competition. So I get there and I see this line going all the way down, and I thought, this is the line to get into to watch the Star Wars trivia thing. And I'm meeting people, and then I got to the door and I looked in, it's like, oh, what panel's going on? Oh no, this is for your panel. I'm like, so all these people don't get in? Like, there were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people in line that couldn't get in. I'd like to think they were all there to see me. They were probably there more to see Whitwer, but it was a really fun day, man. That was a fun event.
Yeah, that was the first. I mean, that division lasted for years after that, and that was the one that kicked it all off. And it was a really close fight all the way to the end.
It came down between me and Knapsack in quadruple overtime.
Yeah,
and it came down to I'll never get over this. It came down to a trivia question about a voice actor in an animated thing that Ken had just interviewed like 4 weeks earlier.
Hilarious.
And that's and by the way, it was the 4th round of overtime. There was no conspiracy there. It was just, but that one burned me. That is
We
never.
also told Cavill he was coming back as Superman.
Oh yes, but I have never gotten over that. That one still burns me. But it was great because we had Jenny, Jenny, Jeremy, Sam Whitwer, me, and Ken.
That's right.
Yeah, it was
And
great,
Rob, you know
fun,
what
fun
burns
day.
me? Matches. To Jay London Drew.
Fulatan says, would you buy Aidan Gallagher if he played Robin?
I can't remember off the top of my head who's Aidan Gallagher. That looks like Timothy
Umbrella.
Chalamet's brother.
I think it's Umbrella Academy.
Oh, the guy who
Oh.
plays number
Yeah, I
6.
can't see him other than an old man in a young guy's body. I don't know. I mean, he's good.
So good in Umbrella
He's
Academy.
so good. But yeah, I mean,
man,
yeah,
yeah.
I mean that's because he's a good actor. I mean, he could be a Robin. He's so good in Umbrella Academy.
I mean, he's just a great actor. I could see him in a lot of
Great
things.
actor.
All right, what's next?
Gilgamishna says, given that Steven Spielberg has put Guardians of the Galaxy on his top 25 favorite movies,
I didn't know that.
what are the chances that James Gunn will approach him to direct Superman Legacy? Look, we talked about that. That'd be the greatest thing in the world.
Look, everybody is asking Steven Spielberg to direct their film.
Yeah.
Right? So is James Gunn going to ask him? Of course he is. And Spielberg will play. Now, before everybody says, John, didn't you know that Steven Spielberg's already directing anything about the Air Wing? What was it called again? The Blackhawks or...
Was it?
What was the name of that thing?
Well, Blackhawks is a DC thing. Yeah, he was
Yeah,
going
this
to do.
is a
Yeah,
DC.
he was going to do
He
that.
was going to do that, right? I don't believe that's happening because that announcement.
I agree.
But John, I heard a little while ago it's still in development. I don't believe that's happening at all because they announced it like 5 years ago. But I'll tell you what, there are 2 things in the world of movies I really want to see. Well, one more than anything else. I want to see Steven Spielberg direct a Star Wars movie. I don't care. But Steven Spielberg directing a Superman movie, that'd be pretty damn sweet too. That would be pretty awesome. I just don't know you're gonna. He's talked about he's only got so much longer in his career, right? He's not going to do this forever. He wants to spend time with grandkids and he wants to do all that kind of stuff. And it just feels like right now he's focusing on his passion projects. He got to do The Fabelmans. He got to do West Side Story. You know, I don't know if he's going to do a big franchise film, whether like my dream, a Star Wars movie or Superman. Could you see him doing it?
I would prefer to see him do Superman, to be honest. I wouldn't really want to. I love Spielberg, but I don't think Star Wars is in his toolbox these days. I think that having him do Superman with John Williams, who's not retired and said he's not retiring, to see John Williams come back to do it with Spielberg, that'd be amazing.
Oh my God, it'd be incredible.
Right.
All right, what's next?
Tacky75 says Evangeline Lilly should get an Oscar nomination for Ant-Man. She is so convincing playing a woman who believes in science.
A little bit of a joke there.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
That's very funny.
I saw it on Twitter.
Josh Becker says also Revan and Damien is a better romance than Revan and Bill or Batman Beyond, in my opinion. Raven and Damien is a better
are
romance
animated
than,
characters,
than
so I
Raven.
don't care.
Well,
You
Raven
can
from the
commentate on this.
Raven from the Teen Titans.
Yes, this
Yeah.
is unless. Well, I mean the one we're talking about the animated relationships there, so that's way outside my wheelhouse.
I thought it was Darth Revan when I first started reading. I'm like, what? I'm a little confused.
What's next?
I already said that. Joshua Logan says, I know you had Glenn Powell
Yes,
on
I
your
did.
Superman list, but what about Booster Gold? I think he's perfect for Booster Gold. He's got the smile and the charm. He'd also make a great Hal Jordan. Thoughts?
I mean, this is the thing we were talking about. People who are really good performers, they could do a lot. And like, if they were to announce tomorrow that he was Hal Jordan in the upcoming,
Perfect.
I all for it. You announce him as Booster Gold, all for it. I think he'd make a really good Superman. But again, that all depends on what the script is and all that kind of. But if you put him in any of those roles, I'm all for it.
I just think his role in Top Gun was more like that. The way he was Booster Gold-esque.
Sure, but just because he's like that in one movie.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Coy Jandro brought up a great casting choice. It was Billy Magnuson for Booster Gold, who was in Game Night, and he was also in Aladdin. You see Billy Magnuson. I don't know if you know who that is, but like he is the perfect. When he
I
pitched
love
that,
Game Night, by the way.
Do you know who he is, Billy Magnuson?
Yeah.
So this guy is perfect, and he was also in Aladdin for like a quick second,
Yeah.
playing one of the princes or something too. But he, when that was brought up,
Oh yeah, he's the one guy who comes in.
yeah,
It's
'cause
like,
I had said Glenn Powell also for I thought Booster Gold for sure. But then when Billy Magnuson was brought up, I was like, yeah, like this guy.
He's really good.
Yeah. Now again, it would depend on how they're going to write Booster Gold.
Right,
But yeah, he would be a really good pick too. Look, that's a Booster Gold smile.
Yeah,
right there.
that totally is.
All right, what's next?
Red One Real Talk says, have you guys seen Sharper yet? This is the Apple Plus movie that Julianne Moore purchased. It was a Blacklist script, and she produced it. It just dropped, and I keep forgetting to watch it. Sebastian Stan was fantastic. It's getting mixed reviews, but A24 delighted me yet again. The trailer for this looks great.
I have not even seen the trailer.
John Lithgow's in it.
Oh, wow.
John Lithgow's in it. Sebastian Stan's in it. Justice Smith is in it. And and Julianne Moore's in it. And it looks terrific. It's some kind of in the finance world, there's swindlers. A sharper, I looked it up. A sharper is a swindler, like a card sharp. Okay. But a sharper is another name for a swindler, if that means anything. So I guess it does.
All right, guys. And that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making this show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those super chats. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported our channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show here, thank you very much for your support. Hey guys, listen, don't forget, if you need your audio-only version of this show, maybe you can't be in front of a YouTube video, we do have a little thing known as the John Campea Show podcast. Go and find out on your favorite podcasting app of choice and subscribe to it today. And don't forget to come on back tomorrow and join us for the John Campea Show again tomorrow. And going to let you guys know, a little bit later today at 4 p.m. Los Angeles time, I will be doing my Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania open spoiler discussion. So if you guys want to talk, celebrate, complain, whatever about Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, we're going to be doing that at 4 p.m. Los Angeles time. That's 7 p.m. New York time. Come on by and join us for that. So, for everybody in the room, writer, director, producer, and apparently in, what was it, Swedish?
Spanish.
From Tango
Shalom is in Spanish. Shalom.
Robert Meyer Burnett. Back there has been Ray Ora. Of course, Taylor's been there as well. Jonathan running the show. And, of course, special guest in here this month is Christian Harloff. And you got something special coming up with Mandalorian coming out.
Yeah, thank you, John. So obviously on my channel, we're close to 70,000 subscribers. So if you want to just search my name, Christian Harloff, come on over there. But on Monday, the 27th, Katie Sackhoff is coming on for a full hour. And we're going to talk about The Mandalorian as we lead to The Mandalorian on March 1st.
Wow.
And, guys, thank you so much for being here. That'll do it for us for now. Thanks a lot for being here. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.
Oh my God. Oh